debunk something about childhood wounds really quickly. Attachment styles are born between the ages of roughly 2 to 3 to 8 to 9-ish. 2 to 3, 8 to 9-ish is when our attachment styles are formed. Well, who helps us mold our attachment styles? Our attachment styles are molded by the folks who are responsible for raising us. Our parents, our guardians. If your parents didn't do it, some of you were raised by your grandparents. We've talked about this before ad nauseum, right? Why is this important? Well, it's important because we always equate attachment style to brokenness as adults. I have a lot of clients who come to me and say things like, oh, I'm dealing with all these problems because of my attachment style. And my attachment style is the reason why I have all of these issues as an adult. Well, attachment style can be the reason why many of us struggle with a lot of challenges. It's very possible. But let me give you 3 things that don't influence your attachment style. And some of these are going to floor you. Because I had to correct hard a client a few weeks ago. Sweet lady. I had to correct her hard. I said, ma'am, don't use another term on another one of my calls. If you use one more term on my calls, because it's clear you don't know how to define them, and it's clear you don't understand what these words really mean. If you use one more term, we're going to do something different. Get off Wikipedia and TikTok and stop using words you don't understand. Why am I making a big deal out of this? Because a lot of us are making certain factors connected to our attachment style. We are equating certain factors to our attachment style, and these factors are not only not reasons that influence your attachment style, these factors become excuses for you not to change. They become excuses for you not to change. Look, somebody put in the comments, Doc, you really said that? Yeah, I do. And let me just say this, by the way. When my books open up, I have to remind you all every couple of months, don't sign up for my work if you don't want the truth. I don't know why many of you would spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and some of you thousands of dollars to work with me just to get on the camera, and then get mad when I tell you the truth. What did you sign up for? Save your money and get out of line. Okay? Y'all, there are 3 things that do not influence attachment style that people I've seen in my work have tried to equate to attachment style. Let me give you those 3 things. Number 1, poverty. I'm about to get in trouble. This is going to be brutal. Y'all supporting this show? Poverty. Let's start with that. Poverty has nothing to do with your attachment style. Well, Doc, I wouldn't be anxious if I didn't grow up poor, Doc. If I didn't grow up in the projects, Doc. If I didn't grow up as an orphan, Doc, I wouldn't be anxious. I wouldn't be avoid. Your poverty has nothing to do with your attachment style. Your poverty has nothing to do with your attachment style. How poor you grew up, how much money you had or did not have, has nothing to do with your attachment style. Let me tell you something. Some of the healthiest people that I've worked with are people that don't have a whole lot. Where's my soundboard when I need it? I need some virtual oh my gods in the comment sections to just write. Some of y'all gonna have to type oh my God in all capital letters tonight to just motivate me without my board. Many of you have used your money and poverty as an excuse to say, oh, that's why I'm anxious, Doc. That's why I'm gonna avoid it. That's why I'm dismissed. Baloney, baloney. In fact, it has absolutely nothing to do with your attachment style. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. Journal with Jamel, I believe that is. Has nothing to do with your attachment style. Your poverty becomes an excuse for you to be anxious, avoidant, if you allow it to empower your behavior. Can't tell me that. And I'm going to take it a step further. Y'all ready for this? And this is going to be bad. Some of the wildest stories I've heard in this space have come from folk that got a whole lot of money. Some of those challenging predicaments that people are in have come from clients that got a whole lot of money. Private jets, nannies, multiple houses, property everywhere, and 2 Skittles from completely delusional. Y'all, money will never fix your mental health. Work is. I want you to record it now. Money won't fix your mental health, and it won't debilitate it either. The lack of it won't debilitate it either. It's the work that's going to do it. And this is why many of you need to heal while you broke. Man, I wish I had my soundboard in here. Many of you need to heal while you broke. You know why? Because if you heal while you got some money, you might get comfortable in the thing that you used to. I am so grateful that my healing journey took place when I can barely pay my bills. Let me just be transparent real quick. When I can barely pay my bills, my healing journey took place. Why is that important? Because it taught me things don't heal you. So for all of you that are thinking your attachment style is connected to how much money you got or where you live, bullcrap. It's an excuse at its finest. Heal while you broke. Because if you heal while you're broke and you get into a little bit of money, then you will remain true to who you are. Besides, let's just say this out loud. Money doesn't change people. It just reveals what you are. My heart was good when I was broke. My heart was good. Me and the kids talk about this a lot. And a lot of that, they didn't even know what was going on. They were, me and their mom were laughing. Their mom had a Great Dane, one of her mini dogs when my kids were little, and we used to put Giselle on the Great Dane's back. Yeah, my kids didn't even understand how poor and how much we struggled in that home. They had no idea. So now we laugh and we talk about it. And it's like, Dad, oh my God, we don't remember that. But one thing we do know is you always work. You are always working. You would sit us on your lap. You had us on your lap while you were typing. Sometimes we showed up in your calls. You had us sitting right there. You always made time for us. You always worked. That's one thing we've always known. You know why? Because money don't change who you are. It just reveals who you are. And this is why sometimes it's easier for poor people to heal than it is rich. Now, this is really a spiritual principle, and I don't have time to deal with it tonight. I wish I had 2 hours, but this is really a spiritual principle. This is why, for those of us that are Christians, shout out to all my atheists, Muslims, agnostics, everybody that's tuned in, and my clients. I love y'all. Y'all know I do. But this is why us as Christians, the Bible tells us something plainly, that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to go into heaven. You know why? Because when you poor and you ain't got nothing else, sometimes that forces you to go a little bit deeper. Money just reveals who you are. Money does not create integrity, it reveals it. Money doesn't create happiness, it reveals it. Money doesn't create a vice, it reveals it. Baby, you could be a crackhead broke, and you can be a rich crackhead with a lot of money. Does this make sense? So poverty doesn't impact your attachment style. How much money you have or don't have does not. So cut that out. Doc, if I had more money, I wouldn't be as anxious. I wouldn't be avoided. I wouldn't be so easily attacked. Cut it out. There's no research that suggests that poverty connects your attachment style. Let me give you a second thing that doesn't influence your attachment style. This is going to floor some of y'all. You ready? The mic on? Divorce. Divorce does not influence your attachment style. This is where I'm about to lose some of y'all. Doc, are you sure about that? Are you sure, Doc, that divorce will not influence your attachment style? I'm positive. I will tell you what influences your attachment style more than divorce. You ready? Being in a marriage with somebody where your values don't match. You fighting, cussing, and cutting every other day right in front of your kids, and they sit there and watch it. And they begin to normalize your interaction together as normal love, that does way more damage to your attachment style than divorce does. In other words, some of y'all worried about the wrong things. You think that because you experience a divorce, that just is going to debilitate your attachment style, and it doesn't have to be. You know why? Because some of us have experienced divorce, and we did it in an amicable way, and our children are just fine. Some of us came from divorce homes where our parents, either one of them or both of them, did everything that was necessary to ensure you receive balance as a young person. And you turn out just fine. So this idea that you are doomed to hell because you come from a divorced family is foolishness. I'll tell you what it is. It's called an excuse. And I'm going to explain that a little bit because I'm going to give you three, maybe four things you can heal to correct your childhood wound. And I'm going to spend more time on this one. All right. So I'm going to come back to this, but it absolutely can be fixed. But you've got to be honest and self-aware. We're going to get into self-awareness in a second. You got to be honest and self-aware about a number of things, including your parents. But divorce isn't the end all be all. I have friends that have come through divorce, that have been divorced. And let me tell you something. They are some of the best parents and they are some of the best husbands and wives you will ever meet. Now I know a lot of this content is out here telling you, oh, don't break up a home, even though the husband being abusive or the wife being abusive or cheating, whatever it is. Don't break up a home because you're going to damage the kids. Foolishness. I want you to put this in your notes, and if you got to plaster it on your forehead, do it. For your child to be secure and healthy, they need one healed parent. That's it. They need one healed parent. Listen, is two healed parents the best scenario? Absolutely. I had to break this down to some clients last week. There's such a thing when it comes to solutions as good, better, and best. Best scenario, two healed parents. Better scenario, one healed parent. Good scenario, at least one aware parent who's trying to do what they can to become the best version of themselves. Good, better, best. But let me tell you something. If you grew up with at least one parent that was self-aware, that was striving to be healed, demonstrate a healed lifestyle in front of you, you have no excuse to be anxious as a result of a divorce. Boy, where's my soundboard when I need it so I can hit that cricket button? You got no excuse. If you're a young person watching right now and you're being raised by a single parent, you have no excuse to be anxious if that parent is doing the work. So we got to quit creating all of these excuses that keep people in therapy for 20 years. It's passing dysfunction at its finest. Okay? So that's another thing that doesn't influence your attachment style. Let me give you a third one. You ready? Family history. What, doc? No. Family history does not influence your attachment style. Are you serious? Doc, what if everybody in my family is crazy? No, it doesn't. Family history doesn't influence your attachment style. I'll tell you what influences better than family history. You ready? It ain't poverty. It ain't divorce. It ain't family history. I want everybody to put this in the chat. I need somebody to support this show right now fast, or I'm taking it down. Choices. You want to know what influences your attachment style? Choices. Nothing influences your attachment style like choices. And you know why mainstream doesn't like teaching attachment styles like this, which is why I'm debating. Book number 6 is either going to be on relationships, which y'all love for me to talk about. I'm not a relationship expert or coach, but healing helps you have better relationships. I'll admit that. So I'm good at teaching it, and I'm good at knowing it, and I'm good at doing it because healing helps with that. So it's either going to be on relationship or it's going to be on attachment styles. But they don't like you to teach attachment styles like this. You know why? Because it debunks all of this foolishness that people did your attachment style to you. No, nothing creates an attachment style like a choice. And I have the data. Some of y'all are just talking. I got the data. I have clients who have come from circumstances that would make some of y'all blush hard. I have heard some of the most gut-wrenching, heartbreaking stories about clients that have overcome all kinds of things in their lives. Parents, both of their parents strung out on drugs, grew up in an orphanage, didn't even know their parents, had to deal with things like molestation and all kinds of, and I've had clients come out of all of that and create outstanding lives for themselves in a secure way. And you mean to tell me that just because you got a crazy family history, that means you got to be crazy? I wish I had my mic so I could say it and scream it loud. You can come from crazy circumstances, and that don't mean you have to be crazy. And I'm just going to tell you, when I talk to my clients like this, some of them are taken aback because they're used to many therapists and counselors and coaches making excuses for them. I don't do that. That ain't my style. Never has been, never will be. Doc, never say never. Never. Is that loud enough? Nothing influences your attachment style like a choice. Doc, my parents were dysfunctional. That, hey, it can have some influence on it. But when you become aware, when you know the difference between right or wrong, you can make a choice. And nothing shifts your attachment style like a choice. Nothing repairs. Doc, how can we break it? Nothing repairs your attachment style like a choice. I have friends, I have colleagues, former colleagues that have gone through 12-step programs that will be quick to tell you that step 1 of that 12-step program, acknowledging that you have a problem, is the beginning of you making a different choice. There's not even an addiction you can't break without making a different choice. Choices solve a lot of problems, which brings me to parenting. Because some of you parents, this is going to challenge you. And some of you that were parented bad, this is going to free you. Some of you that are thinking about parenting, you need to listen to what I'm about to say to you. I said at the beginning of tonight's talk that poor parenting, without a doubt, is the number one reason why my work is so popular. Because I don't care if my client is 18 or my oldest client, 81. A lot of the problems they describe are the results of poor parenting. And let me tell you something. I want everybody to put this in the chat because I'm about to take the next 10 minutes and talk about parenting. You ready? When it comes to parenting, your job is to figure it out. Where's my soundboard? Because I feel like I'm about to just go off. When it comes to parenting, your job is to figure it out. Doc, what's the it? I don't care what it is. Anything related to your kids, your job is to figure it out. Let me tell you, the reason why a lot of my clients have come from piss poor circumstances is because their mom and daddy struggled to figure it out. I have never seen a generation of more piss poor parents in my entire brief lifetime than I have now. And when I say generation, I ain't talking about young people. I'm talking about you can be in your 60s, 70s, and 80s and be a piss poor parent. I see it every day. Your job is to figure it out, which means when your kids need things, they got problems, they have challenges, issues, you got schedules to manage. I can go down a laundry list of things. Figure it out. I was sharing with a couple recently, really digging into a couple recently about missing some things with their child, one of them in particular. I was hearing all these excuses about traffic and stuff. And I said, look, bro, my kid's 11, 12. I have only missed two things in their life. Two. Let me just talk about me. Are y'all supporting the show? I hope y'all are. Y'all ain't supporting the show. What's up with y'all? I've only missed two things in my life. Number one, I missed the daddy-daughter dance this year, February. Those of you that were in the Atlanta stop, you know what I'm talking about because I talked about it. They announced that date 45 days before the show. I had Atlanta set at the end of 2024. Venue booked, everything going on. And when they rolled that date out, I had to tell my daughter, baby, I can't take you this year. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do. She didn't cry. She wasn't upset. She was sad. Dad, I am sad, but I understand. I missed that. There's another thing that I missed. And this is won't really a miss. I figured it out. My kids, my son had a practice and my daughter had a school concert at the same exact time, about 25 minutes apart, distance-wise, which meant, just use this as an example. Both of them, their practices and their concerts started at 7 p.m. They started at the same time in two different locations. Mom wasn't available. My parents weren't available. I had to figure out how to get them there. You know what I did? Called this coach and said, hey, my son is either going to be 30 to 45 minutes late or he may not make it at all. Well, so happened that band concert was all of a hot 25, 30 minutes. So me and my son went to my daughter's concert because that was for a grade. I had to make a decision, figure it out. When the concert was over, we grabbed Giselle, we hopped in the car, and we ran to that practice and caught the last 25 minutes of that practice. I ain't missed but two things. And I work 90 hours a week. And I have a business that's growing. And I'm on tour. And I have my children 90% of the time. Figure it out. And here's the problem. I'll tell you what the problem is. We don't want to raise kids. We don't want to raise kids. We don't mind making them. We'll talk about that in a second. But we don't want to raise no kids. And what's problematic about figuring it out is because parents don't realize that you really do wound your children when you're things like unreliable. Huh. You really do ruin them when you're things like unreliable, not dependable. Are y'all writing this stuff down? Inconsistent. Somebody saying, can you post this? I will leave it up if y'all support. The ways to support on the screen. This is gonna be good. When you're not reliable, not dependable, inconsistent, a pro excuse maker. And as some of you as adults would look at your parents or guardians that raised you and ask yourself, how reliable were they? How dependable were they? How consistent were they? And how many excuses did they make? You would be shocked that if you just answer those 4 questions, that'll explain a lot. Won't it? There's more. I got more on the list. Irresponsible. I think somebody put it up on IG. Not accountable. Don't nothing wound you like a parent that won't apologize. I wish I could say it in Spanish. Nothing wounds you more like a parent that won't say I'm sorry. And look at you. Some of you in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you got parents in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who have never parted their mouths and said, I'm sorry. And you would be shocked at what can be solved when it comes to your attachment style. If your grown parents would just look at you one day and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't do it all right. I apologize. I made this mistake. You'd be shocked. The pain and the agony and the anxiety that can be lifted from how you show up anxious, dismissive, or avoided all through an apology. And you would be shocked at the number of clients that I have who are now in their 40s, 50s, 60s who have never heard their parents say, I'm sorry. Let me give you another word that a lot of parents are. And this one goes perfect with my example. You want to know another word that parents are? Poor parents are? That really wounds their children? Immature. Immature. I have 2 great examples to explain this. We were in a well-known store Tuesday when we got here. Family got here. We were in a well-known store. We're kind of split up. It's something that my mom and dad always do. They always take all their kids and grandkids and spouses on vacations. And this is our second one this summer. We were just on vacation a couple of weeks ago. You guys remember. And we're in this store getting grocery items. And so we split up and dad just tells everybody to get a buggy or whatever, which I think he overspends. And we try to reel them in, but they just go crazy for these grandkids. I have to get them to understand I'm the oldest child. I did not grow up like that. Right? And I'm grateful my parents are doing so well. So we're in this store and we're split up. We're split up. I think at the time I had my daughter, my niece Maddie with me. Yeah, my daughter, my niece Maddie with me, and we happened to find my mom on an aisle who was looking for something, and we all kind of had just our own things we wanted to do, the set things we always do. I make omelets for them, so I'm the omelet guy. So I make omelets for them every trip. That's what I got to make in the morning. So I'll be up in the morning making omelets, which I don't have to do any content tomorrow because Charlotte is taking care of that. Buy your tickets for Charlotte, August the 16th. But I make omelets. And so imagine making about 13, 14 omelets. That's what I'll be doing in the morning. um, and so me, Giselle, and Maddie, my niece, were walking in Walmart. We found what we were looking for. I think I had it in my hand. And probably about 20 feet ahead of me was a couple. I wasn't paying him any attention. It was a man pushing a buggy, and there was a woman standing next to her. I'm paying attention. Maybe 20 feet ahead of us. Just a normal couple, just going in the same direction. So we were to their backs. They were pushing the buggy. I'm in the middle. My daughter's on the left side. No, my niece is on my left side. My daughter's on the right. And we're walking, looking for everybody else. We got the things we were looking for. And as we're walking, a kid busted between me and my daughter, ran between me and my daughter, and tripped over my foot and hit the ground. When he hit the ground, the mama, which I didn't know was his mama, turns around and looks at the kid and says, whatever his name is, we're going to just use Johnny. Johnny, get up. Get off the floor. What are you doing? grabs Johnny, get up, stop running. I told you to stop running in the store. You know what his daddy did? His daddy looked at me. Where is my Cricket soundboard when I need it? His daddy looked at me as if what, y'all? I tripped his son. Giselle looked at me and said, Daddy, you didn't see that boy coming. You didn't trip him. He ran over your foot. He had no business running in front of us, in between us anyway. He had no business running in this store. The daddy looked at me and said, no, the daddy just looked at me. I said, sir, you didn't see your son running from way back there and y'all way up here. And he didn't say anything. And then I said, get your son. Yes, I did. Get your son. Because if you would have been watching your son, you were 20 feet ahead of me. This boy couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6. If that. Probably more like 4 to 5. Why was a 4 or 5-year-old boy that far behind y'all and y'all 20 feet ahead of me? I looked him right in his face and said, get your son. I grabbed my daughter. I put my hand behind my daughter's back. I grabbed my niece and put my hand around her back. They're the same age. And I pulled them and I said, y'all come on. And as I'm walking off, after I said, get your son, he goes over to the wife who's sitting there fussing at the son and said, he's all right. He's all right. You don't have to do all of that. No, that's the problem. You ain't doing nothing. I grabbed my kid and my daughter. I said, y'all come on. Immature parents, not raising their kids. We don't raise them kids. I don't see a day at 4 and 5 where I would have been able to run in the store and be 30 to 40 feet behind my parents at the age of 4 or 5. For all I know, I could have been Freddy Krueger. Somebody grabbed your little boy and went on somewhere and ran off. Immature. I'm not making this up. Literally happened Tuesday. I'll give you a better example. You ready for this? Here's a better example. My son was playing in the 13-14 league. He's only 11. He was playing in the 13-14 league earlier this year. Team was really good. They ended up winning the championship. My son, came off the bench. He's 11 on a 13-14 team. He's 11. So he ended up coming off the bench. He contributed here and there, but I play him up because he's really good. I'm trying to get him even better. So he plays 2, 3, 4 years older than his age. So he's out there with these big kids. Well, the game was really testy because the team that they were playing was undefeated. Nobody felt like this team could be beat. And my son's team was really good. And my son's team ended up beating this undefeated team. And then they would see them again in the championship, and they beat them again in the championship. It was a very testy game. A lot of the parents for that team was kind of rowdy, going back and forth with the refs, standing on the court, real ghetto. Well, one of the parents decided he wanted to fight the director of the league. He's getting into the argument with the director of the league because the director of the league walked over and said, hey, sir, you got to calm down. You're out here threatening the referee and doing all this stuff. You got to calm down. So this parent, instead of having some self-awareness, was immature and started going back and forth with the director. The director goes outside. This is a true story. Director goes outside the gym. And when he goes out, this parent gets up and follows him. They go outside the gym door. And then you could see other people coming in to see the game, but they looked a little distraught and they were looking out. They were coming in, but they were looking distraught. And they were looking out, but they were walking. They were kind of looking behind the wall. And I'm thinking to myself, because I'm really cool with the director of the entire program, they're out there fighting. Well, my son is sitting right there on the bench. His team's playing. It's like the second quarter, something like that. I'm probably 50 feet from the door. So I told my daughter, I said, Giselle, sit right here. I got up. I walked to the edge of the door and looked out. And I saw some guys coming in and somebody was holding the door open. And there were about 2 or 3 men that were coming in. And they were saying, yeah, they're outside fighting. The director, program director, black guy, parent, white guy. I'm going to add some context to this in just a second. There's a reason why I'm telling you race. Yeah, and 3 white men came in. I said, is everything okay? He said, they're out there fighting. I said, for real fighting? He said, yes, sir. So I came back in the gym, sat down. I'm waving at the guy that's over the whole program. He gets my attention. And I point like this. And I said, go outside. So he sees me. He drops his board, what he was doing. He starts running out the gym to go outside to try to break it up. Y'all tell me why. There was a guy sitting 2 seats above me, black guy, sitting 2 seats above me and says, man, dog. First of all, my name ain't Dog. I don't know who Dog is. So when he was saying dog, I didn't know who he was talking to. That's number one. Dog. I'm sure he ain't talking to me. He kept, dog. So I turned around. So you know what I mean? I said, yeah, man. He said, bro, why didn't you go out there and help? I said, help what? He said, man, you went out there, man. Why didn't you go out there and help out? I turned like this. That's my daughter. I don't know why people think I'm not bold in person. I turned just like this. I said, hey, bro. I said, you see that kid sitting over there on the bench? He said, which one? I said, the little light-skinned one that's got the blonde, got the braids with the blonde. I said, you see him? So yeah. I said, that's my son. He said, what that got to do with the fight? I said, why would I go outside and fight like a monkey when my kid in here playing? And I looked at him and said, stop being a monkey. I turned around and kept watching the game. My bad, dog. I ain't mean it like that, bro. I ain't mean it like that. I wasn't trying to start. I said, you ain't starting nothing. I said, but I got a son right there playing, and I got a daughter next to me. What I look like going outside fighting like a monkey? I get my part, as I said. I got help out there. What I look like running outside, while my son on the bench, he worried about what I'm doing. My daughter's in the gym. No. Parents are poor parents today because they're immature. And I want to say this to all of you. Unless it is a situation you cannot avoid, you have no business getting in fights in front of your kids. Boy, I know some of y'all cussing me out under your breath. You have no business out here fighting like an idiot in front of your kids. Unless it is a situation you absolutely can't avoid. Because you can't control other people. No. What am I going to go outside fighting a fight that ain't got nothing to do with me? Just because one of them look like me when I got 2 kids who need me. No. This is the problem. Raise your kids. Raise your kids. Stop being unreliable. Stop being not dependable. Stop being inconsistent. Stop being a professional excuse maker. Stop being irresponsible. Stop being not accountable. Stop being immature. You can solve their attachment style with just that. You fix that list, you fix a lot. When correction is done well, it is a form of guidance. It can steer you in a direction that you need to go. Let me just lay a foundation tonight. By the time I start talking good, y'all gonna be blown away. It can steer you in the direction of where you need to go when correction is established properly in your life. What's the most important time frame? The most important time frame is from the ages of 3 to 8. I want you just in the corner of your journal to write ages 3 to 8 and just circle it. Why? Because the form of correction you receive from approximately the ages 2 to 3 to the ages 7 to 8ish is fundamental in establishing a foundation for how you process, or not only how you come into your attachment style, but how you process things like correction into the future. If you're a subscriber, I went through about 7 or 8 wounds that will help you heal your overall attachment style. So when I write this book on attachment style, and it's really going to be about healing your attachment style, I'm not going to do an education on attachment styles. There'll be a little section in there that talks about them. I'm going to talk about how to heal them. When I write this book, I'm going to walk through those attachment style wounds, or those wounds that can heal your attachment style, and correction is one of them. Why? Many of you don't realize that unhealthy connections to proper correction as a child, already, as a child, has severe implications for you as adults. Now, healthy correction can be a form of guidance. Watch this. But unhealthy connection can be misinterpreted as things like rejection, shame, and inadequacy. Rejection, shame, and inadequacy. It can be other things. Let's just deal with this on a very micro level tonight. If guidance is not given well, if correction is not given well, it can create what's called a correction wound, because that wound manifests itself as things like rejection, shame, inadequacy. And I want to put this real simply. When correction in your life was things like harsh, when correction was unpredictable, when correction was inconsistent, y'all should be supporting this show. This is going to be a killer. This might be live of the year. When correction was harsh, when correction was things like inconsistent, when correction was things like withheld, didn't even happen at all, when correction was unpredictable, that distorted your relationship with guidance. And I want to be specific about guidance here, because there is a dotted line connection between proper correction and guidance. That when proper correction was extended to you as a child or growing up or later in your life, that proper guidance by default helps you to embrace guidance and correction, and two other things I want to talk about. Let me give you those two things. If correction is harsh, unpredictable, or withheld, it can distort your relationship with guidance. And not only distort your relationship with guidance, it will cause you to struggle with two things. You ready? First thing, feedback. Oh my God. Uh-oh. Here comes the bloodbath. Feedback. Would y'all believe me if I told you that many of you are struggling in your relationships now? Romantically, friendship, family relationships, work relationships, friend relationships. What? Many of you are struggling in your relationships right now, not because you bad people, but because you never received a proper dose of healthy correction in the form of guidance as a child. That as an adult, even if you have somebody in your life who means well, who attempts to give you guidance and correct you and instruct you, you run from things like feedback. Oh my God. You fight things like feedback. I've had to tell quite a few clients over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on, what's in the air, but I've had to tell quite a few clients over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Even in this counseling, therapy, coaching space, some of y'all need to stick with these counselors, therapists, and coaches that ain't going to give you hard feedback unless you want to address your correction wound. I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it again. If you're in therapy and you've been in therapy for 10 years working on the same problem, something wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you've been talking to. Oh my God. And here's the truth. A lot of these therapists, counselors, and coaches go light on you because most of you have correction wounds and you can't take the harsh truth. Even if that truth is packaged in nice words. Even if that truth is packaged in a soft tone. You miss the message because your correction wound is flaming. And many of you have correction wounds, which is why you struggle in things like direct counseling and therapy and coach. You struggle in relationships with people who want to give you feedback. You don't want to receive feedback. You just want to give the feedback. And many of you grew up so wounded from a correction standpoint that all you got was corrected. And maybe you were corrected so harshly that when you became an adult, you couldn't take being corrected by nobody else. Oh my God. And I'm telling you now, if you don't heal your correction wound, Whether you anxious or avoidant, we're going to get to that in a second. Whether you are anxious or avoidant, if you don't heal your correction wound, ain't no need of you praying for a secure mate. Because let me tell you what a secure mate ain't going to do. A secure mate will not hold back feedback to spare your feelings. Oh my God. As a secure man, let me just go on and put it out there. If I have to restrain myself from offering feedback in a relationship that I'm in to spare your feelings, we ain't compatible. Oh my God. Go let somebody else do it. And this is how I know many of you don't want the secure mate you think you do. Thank you, Peaches. I appreciate your support. First one supporting tonight. Y'all better get this support up. My subscribers are chomping at the bits for this one, like alligators in a swamp. This is how I know many of you don't want the secure partner you got. Because when you ask a secure partner for feedback, they have no problem giving it to you. Now, here's the caveat. You can't claim to be secure, and you can't take feedback either. Oh my God. Because a lot of y'all are claiming you secure because you're great at giving feedback until the feedback comes back at you, and now you got a problem. Mm-mm. 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 You ain't as secure as you think you are. I got a video coming out about this next week. And no, it's going to probably be week after next. Now I'm going to this different format. Probably week after next. You are not, well, I told a client who's going to let me share that she ain't as secure as she thinks she is. And some of y'all ain't secure as you think you are. Because it's one thing to give feedback. It's another thing to be able to receive it as well. So when correction is harsh, unpredictable, withheld, inconsistent, it can distort our relationship with two things. One, feedback. Number two, accountability. 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 And this is why, especially in the context of attachment styles, where we specifically tend to deal with things like relationship dynamics, this is why those of you that are parents right now, the best thing you can do is raise your children with accountability and responsibility. You know, I had some idiot in one of my comments saying that my children were weak because they, what was it? They were so wise that you couldn't be wise and strong at the same time. I really don't know where some of you folks were found. That was the comment I think I responded to. That kids who are wise are going to automatically be weak because you can't be wise and strong. Parents, let me help you. If you are parenting a child, if you big auntie or big uncle, let me give you some advice. You better teach your child how to have accountability and responsibility. The best gift you can give them is to learn how to hold them accountable. And we don't do this. And so what happens? Then you get grown, you get cute, fellas, you get handsome, you get these things, you get out here in the dating scene. And the minute somebody has to correct you or address something with you that is not right or correct or inappropriate, you completely fold. Why? Because the inappropriate or incorrect or inadequate guidance you received as a child has wounded you so that now you have a problem with feedback and accountability. And I'm going to tell you this. If y'all don't believe it, if you're on this live tonight or watching the replay, if it happens to stay up, because at this rate it ain't. If you're listening live tonight, listen to me. If you struggle with feedback and accountability, I want you to write this down. I can almost guarantee you that we can trace it back to you receiving guidance or correction that was harsh, unpredictable, inconsiderate, or maybe didn't even exist at all. Oh my God. See, this is the crazy part, right? In this space, I have to tell clients, I've had to remind a few clients over the last couple of weeks because they're not used to this kind of pressure. So I told them, look, I'm not for everybody. There's a whole lot of counselors and therapists out here that's dying to get clients. Go find somebody that'll let you sit in your chair and talk all day and not be held accountable. This, not that. My daddy was my 7th and 8th grade coach, 9th through 12th grade coach, assistant principal, teacher, all of that stuff. He played no games. We had a healthy relationship with correction. It wasn't harsh. It was consistent. You knew it was coming. It was also grounded in love. You know what that taught me? The art of telling people the truth in love. Because here's the thing. You can correct anybody, especially if you're in a position to help. You can correct anybody and help anybody. For the most part, if it comes from a place of love, unless their correction wound is so glaring, unless they are so wounded from a feedback and accountability standpoint, that as nice as you put it, they still won't get it. And that happens to me in the seat. I'll be honest with y'all. I have run across people in this seat. It don't matter how nice you put it, how direct you do it, how calm your voice is. Some people are so wounded from a correction standpoint, from a feedback and accountability standpoint, they've never been held accountable a day in their lives, that you could say it nice and whisper it. It ain't gonna matter. And I want you to put this in the chat and put this in your journal right now. Until you heal your correction wound, you're not ready to heal in general. A correction wound is one of the few wounds that you must heal in order to be healed. If you don't heal the correction wound, you will never heal. I don't care who you are. If you don't heal your relationship with feedback and accountability, you will never heal. Doc, you can't say never. Never. You will never heal. Doc, never's a long time. It is. And I hate to break the news to many of you, but some of you are struggling on your healing journey because you have a sincerely bad correction wound. Thank y'all for the support. It's coming through. Y'all support the show. You're going to want this one. You will want this one again. You're going to want this one again, and I'm just getting started. We're going to talk about how to heal it, but let me lay the foundation. That's the problem. Let me just say this, y'all, and I'm not being funny. I'm really not. I'm not being funny. I talk about this on my video next week. Some of y'all, that's the other thing. Some of y'all are so interested in tools. All you want is a tool from a therapist, a counselor. All you want is a tool so that you can try to work on that tool to try to feel better. Let me tell you something. You can get all the tools you want in the world until you break up the foundation. You ain't doing nothing but building on stuff that's got cracks in it. And I'm going to tell you why some of you are in a hurry to get tools. Some of you are in a hurry to get tools because you don't want to tear up the foundation. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing your life. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing your values. You don't want to go through the pain of deconstructing everything that has been built crooked in your life so it can be built straight so that when you get these tools, you can build on a solid foundation. No, y'all want to skip by that. That's akin to skipping across the grass instead of walking on the sidewalk. Oh my God. I see it every day. It's like pouring it. This kind of talk is like pouring water on gremlins. I just look at the comments sometimes, and you can tell people that are very uncomfortable with this. Well, then, Doc, how do I fix it? Doc, can you stop talking about that and just give me some solution? No. No, because you still got cracks in your foundation. Oh my God. Sometimes the foundation has to be broken down completely so it can be built up. Y'all stop trying to build over cracked foundations and heal your relationship with feedback and accountability. Now, how do we see this manifested? Let me give you some hints. If you, as a child or as a young person or a young adult, have ever internalized correction as things like I'm bad instead of I made a mistake. Y'all writing this down? Write this down. If you've ever internalized correction as things like I'm bad instead of I made a mistake, or I was so stupid instead of I didn't know any better and I had to learn. If you've ever had to internalize correction that way, it's a really good chance that as a child, as a young person, maybe even as a young adult, you have improperly internalized correction. You have improperly received correction. And you want to know how this materializes? You know how correction wound shows up in your life? Through your attachment style. Let me give you some hints. If you're anxious and you have a correction wound, let me give you a list of things you might do. Go ahead and make your list. Just write anxious in the top of your page, put a colon there, put a line under it, and I want you to write a couple of things. Let me give you some stuff. If you're anxious and you got a correction wound, you may not even know it. But let me give you some signs that you do. Number one, anxious people within a correction wound over apologize. Oh my God. Anxious people with a correction wound will apologize over and over and over again. Why? Because when you're anxious, you don't like to feel like somebody might be upset with you. You don't like to feel like somebody is going to be mad at you. Watch this. You don't like the tension of offense. Oh my God. Anxious people don't like the tension of offense. They would rather over apologize than to just feel the discomfort of offense. That in fact, when you have offended somebody or somebody has offended you, there is a period of discomfort you got to sit through. And anxious people don't like to sit with it. Anxious people don't like to sit with the fence. They don't like to sit with the discomfort of offense. So they will try to rectify that discomfort by over apologizing. They will apologize 7, 8, 9 times for an offense that has long happened. And when you do that to a secure person will listen to you once. They might listen twice. By the third time, they're going to say, please cut it out. You know why? Because anxious people over apologize, not only to minimize the discomfort of the offense, they do it as a sense of false humility. It makes them feel like they are being the bigger person. It makes them feel like they are doing the right thing. It makes them feel like they are going above and beyond to make a situation feel better. When in actuality, the reverse is happening. That when you apologize 7 times for an offense when they heard you the first time, it starts to feel like something that you're doing to make you feel better instead of making them feel better. Oh my God. Ain't a lot of notes tonight. Y'all must be writing. Y'all there? If you there, I want you to type levels in the chat. This making sense? False humility. I told the subscribers about a story. I had a boss who really was a game changer in my life and my career. When I was going through a period of my life where I was anxious,
I would apologize for things 3, 4 times. And she finally was just like, after that second part, Zeb, stop. Stop. Why? Why? I mean, I just want to make sure people know I'm upset. So we heard you the first time, is what she would say. We heard you the first time. And at this point, it sounds like a fake attempt at humility. She was right. And that fake sense or attempt at humility is really the reflection of you trying to make you feel better, not them. Because the people you'd apologize to, especially if they're secure, they heard you the first time, they moved on. But when you're anxious, you will continue to apologize to them, trying to get rid of the anxiety inside of you. And it doesn't work that way. It makes it worse. And it annoys them. Over apologizing annoys the securely offended. And it makes you more anxious. Y'all not writing this down. Oh my God. Over apologizing annoys the secure and makes your anxiety worse. Over apologizing ignores the secure or annoys the secure, makes your anxiety worse. Oh, and ain't a lot of levels tonight. Y'all either really just not tuned in or y'all really writing. Ain't a lot of levels tonight. Are y'all writing? Put a 1 in the chat if you write. I just need to make sure y'all alive. Decent numbers. We got to get more on TikTok. I'm kind of banned over there. I don't know why. I ain't do nothing tonight. Y'all here? Put a 1 in the chat. You there? Yeah, y'all must be writing tonight. So that'll give you time to sit. I just need to know you're there. That's what happens when you're anxious. You know what? The only people that like your over apologizing are broken avoidants. Uh-oh. Oh my God. I'm going to get to that in a second. A broken avoidant will listen to that. Because in a weird, creepy way, an avoidant gets their rocks off by hearing you say sorry, sorry, sorry over again. And God knows, don't let that person be an avoidant and have a stench of narcissism in them. Y'all know I don't like labels a whole lot because most of y'all don't even know what they are and can't define it. But if you got a legit narcissist on your hand that's avoidant, they'll listen to you apologize all day and get their rocks off while you do it. Oh my God. I have to say that for the subscriber space because most of that will go over y'all's heads. An avoidant loves apologies because it makes them feel like you're chasing them. And the more you apologize, at first they think it's real cute, and then they'll run as you apologize. But they're going to keep looking back to make sure you keep apologizing and let you know that they're still there. Oh my God. So, anxious people, as a result of this poor connection to correction, will over apologize. 2, people pleasers. Y'all should have known this was coming. Show me an anxiously attached person with a correction wound, and I'll show you a people pleaser. Which means if you're a people pleaser, somewhere along the lines, you might have a problem with correction. Because sometimes the anxious will attempt to people please and bend over backwards to people please to avoid being held accountable, to avoid being given feedback, to avoid having to hear the harsh truth, to avoid being told the truth. A broken, anxious person will apologize and try to get under your skin and be in your skin. I've even seen cases where anxious people with correction wounds are also very clingy. I don't have time to deal with this, but let me just say this because y'all not ready for what I'm about to say. Hear me out. Anxious people can also be very clingy if they have a correction wound. And so sometimes the clinginess is a sign of a correction wound. Not all the time, but sometimes. Why? Because when things get tough between that person and whomever they're connected to, they will use being clingy as a way to run away from the stress and the angst of things like offense and pain, heartbreak. This is why an anxious person, if they feel like someone's going to leave them, instead of feeling the pain of being left, they will cling harder. And that clinginess is connected to, in many ways, the fear of feedback. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to be in this anymore. You no longer, this no longer bit. They don't want to hear that. So to avoid that, they will grab you tighter and squeeze you tighter. Why? Because in their little minds, they believe that if they cling more, they might be able to get out of hearing that feedback. You're just delaying it. Oh my God. This making sense? Let me give you a third sign that you might have a correction wound. Sign one, and there are many signs. This is obviously an overview. There are many signs. Sign one, over apologizing. Sign two, people pleasing. Sign three, this is going to shock you. You ready? Poor emotional control. Poor emotional control. Watch this. One sign that you could not only be anxious, but you could be anxious with a correction wound is when you try to cry your way out of stuff. Oh my God. When you try to cry your way out of stuff. Thank you, Brother Cam. Always good to see fellas support. I appreciate that, brother. Had a lot of men in Charlotte, by the way. I think I have to do this dating thing real soon, hook some of y'all up. A lot of men in Charlotte. Some of men was there. Some of you women had lines of men. It was a lot of men in Charlotte. I got to figure out this speed dating event thing for healed people. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Listen, some of you, we know you're anxious because of your poor emotional control. You ever been around a person who tries to cry themselves out of everything? You correct them, and then all of a sudden they just burst out into tears. Let me tell you something. A lot of times that crying is to avoid the pain of correction. It's to avoid the pain of feedback. Now listen, there ain't nothing wrong with expressing emotion. Don't y'all take this sound bite and run with it. Get the context. There's nothing wrong with expressing emotion, but let me tell you something. When you express emotion to avoid correction, you dysfunctional. Oh God, that was a bar. Record that now. That was salad worthy. When you express emotion to avoid correction, that's dysfunction. Expressing emotion to avoid correction is dysfunction. It's the bar of the night. Expressing emotion to avoid correction is dysfunction. Some of y'all got to stop trying to cry your way out of stuff. Now, good question on Instagram. I won't call your handle. I'll just read the question. Is this applicable for children because my 10-year-old does this so bad? Oh my God, this is a good question. This is why the future of my work is with kids. I hate to break this to y'all, but in a couple of years, I'm going to be transitioning. The future of my work is to teach this to kids. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you correct the kids' emotions or a child's emotions and teach them emotional control, you change the generation. That's a great question. It can be true for children if proper forms of guidance have not been established with them, which means, y'all, the best way to get your child out of that is to raise them with balance. This is where I'm about to get in trouble. I'm so glad that question came. No, thank you for asking. Raise your kids with balance. You know what creates children like that? Who just cry at the drop of a hat or cry at the attempt to avoid correction? Is when you've either raised them too light or you've raised them too hard. Oh my God. When you've raised them too light or raised them too hard, it can cause them to divert to poor emotional control, in many ways intentionally, to avoid the pain of feedback. And this is why when I've had to correct mine, because my kids are good kids, I've seen this. I can even take your question and expand it this way. Because there's a fine line here between, watch this, crying because you want to avoid correction and crying as a child out of insensitivity or poor sensitivity. Sometimes this is so good. Sometimes hypersensitivity in a child is a sign of a few things. Number one, it's a sign you might have a good child. Hypersensitivity in a child, not an adult. Well, maybe in an adult too. I gotta process that. Hypersensitivity in a child, especially, is a sign that you might have a good child. And I'll give you an example of this. When you have corrected a child and you correct them in balance, which means you ain't just screaming at them. I'm not talking about that kind of correction that creates hypersensitivity. Remember, this is hypersensitivity in a child through balanced correction. Hypersensitivity in a child through balanced correction. This ain't in my notes, I'm adding it. Through balanced correction is a sign you may have a good child. Which means you have corrected your child in a balanced way. You come down on them when you got to. You hug them and hug her and kiss them when you have to. You don't come down so harsh that they feel like they're stupid. God knows you don't call them stupid. Yes, it's 2025, and some of you raggedy parents are calling your kids stupid. And yes, I'm calling you raggedy. And if I knew it, I would call DSS. Oh my God. This thing going. Anybody that calls their kid stupid is a piss poor parent. And I don't care if your mama raised you that way. I don't care if your pastor raised you that way. I don't care who raised you that way. If you call your child names to correct them, you're a piss poor parent. Piss poor. I'm talking call social services. 1-800 child abuse. Because you don't have to do all of that. You can be hard on your parents or on your children and be balanced. But a hypersensitive child that has received correction balanced, which means they've been corrected, and you get tough on them if you have to, and in the same breath still squeeze them and love them and tell them, listen, I love you, I believe in you. If that child is hypersensitive, it's probably a sign that they're a pretty decent child. How? How do you define decent, Doc? In the sense of being aware of right and wrong. Those children will be aware of right and wrong. It won't make them perfect, but they will have a different level of consciousness when they do wrong. Their conscious level will be much higher. Why? Because you've raised them with balance, and their hypersensitivity is proof of their awareness. Their hypersensitivity is proof of their awareness. Is this making sense? So if that's the case, then my friend that asked the question on IG, it may not be necessarily a bad thing. But here's where the balance comes in. And then I'm going to move on from this point. That was a really good question. Let me just finish it, though. Here's where it can be a bad thing. If you don't do it with balance and your kid is hypersensitive, they are, without a doubt, a lot of times trying to do that to get out of the feedback and accountability. Let me give you the greatest example I can give you. I've been in stores where parents have gotten on their kids and the kids just fall out on the floor. Just fall out on the floor and start crying, just pitching a fit. And what does the parent do? The parent loses sight of what the kid did wrong and immediately starts to try to do what? Get them off the floor. So that parent's attention shifts from their behavior to their actions. Why is that important? That's important because it then subconsciously teaches that child that the best way for me to get out of correction is to act up. And so when you let your kids fall out in the floor, and then you shift your focus from their behavior, what they did wrong, to how they're showing off, and you stop addressing what they did wrong, and you focus on how they showed off, you are furthering the correction wound. And if they're anxious, they will use their emotions to avoid feedback.
What can we help you with?
I was thinking about this as I was listening to everyone else talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, those stairs got me. I am a therapist myself.
Nice.
So I've really enjoyed listening to everything that you're talking about
Great.
with attachment and things.
Outstanding.
I am an anxious attachment girly myself, rooted out of abandonment. My mom passed away when I was an infant
Oh, wow.
in a car accident. And so my work is grief work and working predominantly with motherless daughters.
Very good. Very good.
Which I love. It's my passion.
Outstanding.
But I've been working on healing an anxious attachment. And as you know, and probably many others know, that tends to, in an unhealed place, attract narcissistic avoidant folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that has pretty much been my trend in relationships through my adulthood all the way up to present. So I have a 1.5-year-old, and the relationship ended with his father about 1.5 months ago after I learned that he was cheating. And we have a house together, and so I ended the relationship. He is now moving out in the middle of December. And so I'm kind of just in this space of rebuilding. And I think for me, my question would be like, how do I, as a therapist, anxiously attached mom, navigate parenting for nearly 2 decades with an avoidant narcissist? Because it's going to be challenging, to say the least.
Yeah. How long were you two together, Miranda?
3 years. This October made 3 years.
Yeah, this is a really good question, and kudos to you. And first of all, thank you for your work. I think your work and your focus is necessary, without a doubt. And so definitely big props to you there. I have a lot of clients that are counselors, therapists, coaches, and I'm always honored to get their questions, because I do believe that in this space, and I think you would agree, you can be in this space and be like the hairdresser who can do everybody's hair well, like you're really good at styling everybody else. But some of the best beauticians that I've seen, barbers that I've seen, have the worst haircuts.
1000%. Yes.
The worst haircuts, right? Which means you can know the way, but the actual application of this stuff that we know can be a challenge, especially when we're dealing with our little ego, part of us that is attached to how we feel, our emotions, that then stems into our attachment styles that link to how we were raised, that link to all of these wounds that are still healing and evolving. So I would say 2 things to you. Number one, I talk to a lot of my clients about the proving stage, especially if you're an anxious avoidant or an anxious attachment style. I talk a lot about the proving stage, which is that stage where you meet someone and you think there's interest, and things seem to be right and checked, but you're also aware that as an anxiously attached person, narcissists, other avoidants can be lurking in the background. So that period of time between getting to know or meeting them and feeling like you have interest and getting to a place where you feel completely vulnerable.
that period of time has to be longer than a securely attached person.
Yes.
It has to be. For some people, and I hate to put time limits on this because it depends on who you are. For some people, that comfort comes in 2 months. For some people, that comfort comes in 4 months. For an anxious person, it may take 5 or 6 months. And when you're dealing with a securely attached person, they're going to have the patience to be able to endure your extended proving stage so that you feel comfortable knowing that this is real. The only person that gets upset with that extended stage is who? The narcissist,
Mm-hmm.
the avoidant, right? And so I would say to you, number one, extend that proving stage. And then two, on the back end of this, as he's moving out, moving on, give yourself some grace for being in this situation.
What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb. Listen, I've been dying to make this announcement for a very long time now, and I'm pleased to say that Inspire Nation has officially launched. Yes, we finally got a Facebook and YouTube community group where we're going to have exclusive content, exclusive shorts, exclusive discussion prompts, where we're going to engage with other people literally around the world who are on the same healing journey that we're on. I need you to go find these pages right now on Facebook and YouTube. Inspire Nation, follow the page, join the group, introduce yourself, and be prepared to link up with literally thousands of people around the world who are on the same healing journey, who are looking for the same resources, and who want to also be surrounded with other like-minded individuals who are growing in the same direction as you are. I'm so excited about this because it's the beginning of some great things I can't talk about right now. Listen, you got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.
I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but I am. In this business that we're in, we can, oh, this is personal. We have the tendency to think the best about people.
1000%. Yes.
You get it. We can be in this space and think the best about people and be devastated when we find out that what we thought is not what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we begin to question ourselves, our growth, our knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
No, you gave him the benefit of a doubt that he never earned.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself some grace in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that needs to be infused as you go through this grieving process. You go through those stages of grief. You should. You need to feel all 5 of those stages. But give yourself some grace through this and recognize this can happen to anybody, Miranda, without a doubt. But it can especially happen to those of us who think we've checked the boxes because we have the knowledge to check the box, but you can't control people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Pause and then realign your life with your values. I would also say this, what I would recommend to you is what I've recommended to many. This is a good time to reevaluate your values and to begin to realign your life with them. Mm-hmm. Your values probably when you met him and you were dating him versus your values now that he's leaving and you're a mother are going to be totally different. What are those 5 to 7 attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, principles that are most important to you? And then begin to use that as a construct to build a foundation for a new life. So if you say to me, one of those values, I'm using this as an example, is peace, then you're going to start making decisions from here on out that support those values, that value of peace, and all of your other 5 or 6 values. What this does is it helps to build a bridge between the pain of the breakup and the struggle with the anxious attachment style. You're building on it on a new foundation. This foundation is not on what he did to you, and it's not on what happened to you as a child. The foundation is now 2024. Here are my 7 values. November 2024. Here are my 7 values. And moving forward, I'm going to construct moving forward on this new foundation. And I think this is a really good way to kind of start over because those values are going to give you a different sense of focus. They're going to give you a different sense of purpose. And it's going to cause you to take your mind and your thoughts and your emotions off of him and really put it on rebuilding something new for your life. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had a lot of those thoughts in the last month and a half. And I think because I lost so early and drove it into my passion and the work that I do, I'm very, very good at seeing something terrible that happens in my life and saying like, okay, what can I do with this now? Like, how can I make this a thing? So I'm starting to try and help at the same time as trying to not intellectualize my emotions and let me actually feel the things,
Good for you.
give myself the grace and compassion.
You get
But
it.
at the same time doing that, I'm also trying to think, okay, well, I have this whole population of motherless women who I work with who predominantly also have anxious attachment styles, who are also unfortunately attracting narcissistic avoidant partners, that then I can use my story just as I have this whole time to help them heal as well, which is going to ultimately help me too. It's going to be interesting to just navigate parenting with him, knowing all the things he's done and how he's treated me. And my child is obviously so young that I wouldn't tell him any of the truth for a very long time. But I like the piece about, just aligning deeper with my values, and whatever behavior that he's engaging in, eliminating myself from it if it doesn't align with those.
Yeah, the value system is undefeated.
Mhm.
It's one of the best things that I've created in this space, because pain does many times, you understand this without a doubt, Miranda. Pain many times becomes the impetus for change. So in this space, some of my best years and my best moments have been when I was going through my own personal challenges.
Yeah.
And they really became a bedrock foundation for inspiring me to not only heal, but also to empower people who are going through the same exact things. And so when pain comes, we know our emotions as an anxious attachment style. If you're anxiously attached, you know your emotions are going to lead the way and not your logic. I tell my clients to flip that. Yes, feel your emotions, but sit your emotions to the side and let's let logic lead for the next 60 months. How do we do that? The next 60 days. How do we do that? For the next 60 days, we let logic cause us to sit down. First of all, when we feel those negative emotions regarding the hurt, we embrace that. We don't run from it. We don't minimize it. You get that. But then logic says, okay, you've had your moment. Here are my values. Here are the 5 to 7 attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, principles that will now govern our lives moving forward. In doing that, you then begin to teach the ego, which is the part of your brain that's sitting on your shoulder saying, it's going to happen to you again. I can't believe you allowed that to happen. How dare you, Miranda, allow him to do this to you when you're this, this, this. That's your ego talking to you, keeping you in the past, having you worried about the future. But when we rebuild with values, we replace that conversation with, that's the past. We're not worried about the future. The present says we need 5 to 7 things that will ground us to build a new foundation moving forward. So value system is absolutely a good way to rebound from this. It's going to take your mind out of the pains of him leaving. It's going to take your emotions and kind of set them in the back seat, though we know they're back there and they're going to have some moments. Thanksgiving's coming up. Holidays, you get this. This is the time of the year where we're the busiest, right? Because, those emotions are going to ride. Feel them. If you cry tomorrow and eat your turkey, it's okay.
Yeah.
But while you're crying, I want you to grab a sheet of paper and say, what are these 5 to 7 attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, principles that we're going to rebuild on?
Yeah.
And that's your logic saying, let me take over and drive and spend the next 60 to 90 days driving.
Yeah. All in all, I'm excited. From heartbreak and loss through every grief and grief-stricken moment I've had in my life, from nearly birth, has birthed a community and connection and growth. And so overall, I'm excited. It's just it's just the navigating it in the thick of it.
No, I love that for you. And it's I want to give you a phrase that I want you to keep, and I want you to share with your clients, and I want you to remember this for yourself. And this is important. Pain isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's birth.
Church. Felt.
Pain isn't always destruction. And I hope everybody's writing this in their journal. Sometimes it's birth. The same pain you feel when you feel like you're about to die, is the same pain that a woman feels when she's about to give birth. It's the same pain. That's a perspective shift. That's reframing, cognitive reframing. It's taking pain and reassigning new meaning to it, so that then our emotions can calm down and our logic can then start to lead the way. It ain't always destruction. Sometimes it's birth. You're going to be fine, my friend.
Yes, I will. I know that.
I'm so honored by this call. I mean,
Well, thank you.
I am. I'm honored. I love talking to people like you, because it's very assuring for me, but it's also it's very humbling. You're
Mhm.
doing a tremendous work. There are women around the world that need what you do. You go ahead and grieve this loss, and I believe this is going to cause you to come out as the best practitioner that you've ever been. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank
I
you for
can
your
never
work as
support you.
well.
Reach out to me. You let me know. I mean it sincerely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. Y'all, let's give it up for her. Wow. I love it. When I get these calls, they mean a lot to me because, again, people think the beautician doesn't go through anything. No, the beautician goes through things too. What the beautician has to do is make sure that they prepare themselves the way they the way we encourage other people to prepare themselves. And so kudos to you, Miranda, for doing that. Can you repeat that phrase, 5 to 7 things? Yes. What are your 5 to 7 values? This is in the value system. I got an ebook. It came out last Thursday on that. It's only 15 pages. But your values are a set of attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, and principles. They are the attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, and principles that govern the way we live our lives. And anytime you're going through a painful situation or challenge in your life, that's a good time to reestablish what those attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, and principles are. All right. And so I want to encourage all of you to do that if you're in a similar situation. All right. Very good. Y'all, let's give it up for her again. That was really good. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. Better now that I'm talking to you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Awesome. Glad to meet you well.
What
Now
can I help you with?
you talking about the stinky feet. That helped me with my situation.
Told you. What's happening?
So I have a boyfriend who is a bit of an avoidant.
Okay.
And we've been seeing each other for almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a bit rocky. To say the least. He will get upset and disappear for a couple of days, won't answer calls and texts. He does not like to talk about his feelings. And he's been getting counseling for over a year now.
With who?
I'm not sure who she is, who the counselor
It's probably that free stuff they offer from insurance. Look, I'm not being funny. Take that. Take that whatever way you want to. Miss Lisa, I continue to say that not all counseling, coaching, therapy is created the same. It ain't. You cannot justify a person getting counseling for a year and they still running.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I said, you've been getting counseling for over a year and it doesn't seem like it because we've been together almost a year.
Yep. And
I said, so do you talk to your counselor and tell her, like, you get upset about those smallest things? I don't even have any idea you're upset, and then you disappear. And then I'm like, what's going on? Oh, you said such and such, or whatever. Remember when you said, I'm like, what? Like, how did that make you upset? So do you think that is there a point, or is there a situation where a relationship can work out with an avoidant?
No.
No? Wow.
No, absolutely not. You talk to other counselors, coaches, therapists, they might tell you something. I'm going to tell you right now, when a person is healed, Miss Lisa, and it sounds like you are trying to do the work, when you are healed, it is impossible for a healed person and an avoidant to be together. And let me tell you how on time your question is. I'm looking for it because I have my content lined up.
I saw a post from earlier today about running away from feelings.
Yep. Let
That
me
hit
tell
home.
you what my Video Tuesday title is. Let me give you the title. It's going to make you fall out in your seat. Tuesday's video is going to be a bloodbath, and it's based on a conversation that I had with a client who allowed me to share it, and I had to really get her together. Tuesday's video topic is called How Dismissive Avoidance Can Destroy You.
Oh, I believe it.
And I don't want to give away the goods that I'm going to talk about Tuesday, but let me just say this and let everybody chew on this for a second. When you're in a relationship with an avoidant is a pro at making you feel like you're the problem when they're the problem. Because when you deal with an avoidant who will not own their issues, they will leave you. And because they leave you the way they do, you will question who you are because you can't separate how they first showed up from how they left. Your brain can't process it. And this causes you mental and emotional damage like you can't believe.
Oh, wow.
Tuesday going to be powerful. I can't wait to talk about it. I almost want to give y'all the notes right now.
Wow.
Many brains have been destroyed because when a person is an avoidant and they just up and leave every time there is a problem, a challenge, they disappear for days. But this is the same person that probably begged to be with you, that was so sweet and loving when they were with you at first. Your brain can't separate who they were from how they left, and it leaves you mentally and emotionally destroyed.
Wow.
And I got her right together in 60 minutes.
Oh, really? Wow.
It don't take long.
Wow.
You know how we break this? It's simple. You ask a really good question. Can a relationship work with an avoidant? I don't think so. Not if you heal. But I'm going to take it a step further. You're going to know you're healed if you had the ability, Miss Lisa, to see him not for who you hoped he was, but for who?
Who he really is.
Bingo. And
It's strange because there's a lot of nice, good things about him. And he's such a, he takes care of his mom. His mom's been sick for a while. There's a lot of good things about him. And I know he's working on himself, but.
Listen, there's a lot of good things about an Acura. It'll never be a Bentley. Oh my God. It'll never be a Bentley.
Right.
Period.
I need to send him to you. That's what I need to do. Can you help
I
him?
don't know if he can take it. He'll probably run off the call.
Oh, wow.
I've had it happen. I've had it happen. Because most counselors, coaches, therapists, they don't have the guts to talk to people and tell them the truth. They don't. I do.
Right.
The reality is, ma'am, it ain't going to work until he heals. And if he's been in counseling for a year, I don't know who he's seeing. And I don't know what he's paying to see them. But I'm telling you right now, let this be proof that not all counseling, coaching, therapy is the same. It ain't. We not all equal.
Right. I'm going to try to get him to sign up for your counseling.
Put him on. It ain't going to take but one session. And if he'll hear the truth.
Oh, wow.
If he'll hear the truth, he will hear some stuff in that 60 minutes he probably ain't heard in a year.
I'm sure. Because some of the stuff he says his counselor says, I'm like, what?
Have you ever, this is going to be so bad. Oh God, this is going to be so bad. Ms. Lisa, do you expect free food to taste like food you pay for?
No.
We never do. We never do. I spent a lot of my life giving back and pouring in the community, feeding people, clothing people, and I like it. I love giving back. One of the things that I was a big advocate of was the quality of doing that, because just because you're serving people free food doesn't mean you got to just ball the food up any kind of way. I know this is the time of year where people are volunteering. You just ball the food any kind of way and you just give it to people because, hey, it's free. So, take this food. No. Just because it's free doesn't mean you don't make sure that you package it right, you present it right, etc. But most people can admit that free food and food that you pay for ain't the same. And the reality is, counseling, coaching, therapy, this stuff ain't all equal. It's not. Because most folks will take your money and let you waddle in this and let you just talk all day about how you feel.
Yes.
And I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to do that. And then after that, when I've gathered my data, then we jumping in.
That's what I like.
It don't take long, sweetheart. It doesn't. So I hate this, but that's just my honest opinion, that this relationship is not going to work until he changes. And don't get me started. Can I ask you this, Ms. Lisa? Is he older or younger?
A little bit younger.
He's a little bit younger.
Right.
Interesting. Because we could get into some other things about hypergamy and roles in the relationship and the possibility of respect being compromised. He is a younger man, but as a younger man dating older,
he's 48. He's 48.
he's 48 and running. He ought to have
Never been
have too much.
married, never. Yeah, he's said he's never been in love before. Has never gotten close to anybody except me.
Yeah, no. At 48, let me guess, he probably has overall commitment issues.
He does.
I guarantee it. He sounds like the kind of person, because men and women are like this. I want to be clear, because the men get real butthurt when I come after them, but then they ignore the videos when I come after women. Anyway, men and women have this challenge, and I want to say this. He sounds like a person who struggles with commitment in general. And if he is running at 48, he'll probably be running at 68.
But he says he's committed to me.
How? Why? How is he committed and running at the same time? Come on, Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa, listen.
He'll disappear for a couple of days and then, blame me because he was mad and stuff,
Miss Lisa, and you let him come back?
No, at first I thought he had ghosted me or something. So I started talking to somebody else and then he said I was cheating.
Miss Lisa, wait a minute. Why are you talking to somebody else so fast?
Because that's when we just started talking.
Okay.
Yeah, we just started.
And just started, he took off running.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but that problem was his mom. His mom has been sick, real sick, having strokes and seizures and all that stuff, and him in and out of the hospital with her. So
I'm very sorry to hear that.
I gave him grace for that. Right.
I'm totally sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. But guess what? All of us going through something.
Exactly.
And see, when I say that, there's somebody on this live or watching the replay. If I keep this up tonight, if y'all support this, is going to say, I don't like this guy. He's not validating my feelings. Yeah, I am. I just said, I'm sorry to hear that his mom's upset. I also just said, we all going through something. Two things can be true at the same time. Run.
That's true. Run?
Yes. Run the opposite direction. Because at 48, if he can't multitask, work a job, show up for his mom, show up for you, show up for whomever else. If he can't multitask, he's not going to be able to handle no relationship with you.
Yeah, he told me he wasn't a good multitasker and his mom was his priority. He's taking care of his mom. He's a real estate investor. He has properties all over the place. He's
Wait. Does he manage his properties everywhere?
He's got managers. He's got property managers all over, but he still travels to them because he's,
So he has the common sense to hire help to manage his properties.
He does.
Come on, Miss Lisa. Let's stop. Let's not do this. Miss Lisa. Let's not do this. Because I'm going to say this to you. Women do this stuff all the time. And women not going to like this. And I don't care. Oh, my God. Y'all do this stuff all the time. Y'all can convince Donald Trump that Elvis is alive. Because if y'all see something that you think has a glimmer of hope, you will take that quarter and try to make it $100 bills. Baby, that's a quarter. I don't care how you slice it, dice it. You can tape it to a piece of paper and put 100 on it. You'll never make it $100. Women are good at this. Women are good at this. And y'all ain't gonna, and there are some men that do this too, but I'm telling you, women are good. You know why? Because you allow your emotions to give him a chance. I need you to take your emotions and put it in the back seat. And I need you to look at this from a logical perspective. And ask yourself, Ms. Lisa, logically, how much sense does this make? It doesn't make any sense at all. You're a beautiful, smart, well-spoken, well-presented woman, and you're connected to somebody who cannot commit to anything but his work. And he's got the sense to plan that out, but he don't have the sense to organize his time with you. Stop. Let's not do this, Miss Lisa.
Oh my gosh, 100% true. Thank you. Now, if I send them and you get them right, then
what? Look, Miss Lisa. Oh my God. Miss Lisa, you won't let go. If I send them to you and you get them right, then make Miss Lisa, let me tell you something. I'm not saying that ain't possible. You might be able to reconcile, but I need you to make sure that that reconciliation lines up with your values. Because I'm gonna tell you, he might get right, but if it don't line up with your values of peace and commitment and consistency and strength, then it may not be a good idea.
Right. Exactly.
So I wouldn't bank on that. I wouldn't bank on that. You have to heal, Miss Lisa. You know, and we could spend some time because I'm very curious to hear about your attachment style too. I think I have an idea of what it is, but I'm very curious to hear what your attachment style might be, because I can see some glimmers of some things just based on some of your responses to his behavior.
Right.
And I don't want you to find somebody who does check more boxes, but then your tolerance for what they do raises even more because they're checking more boxes. No. You have to have a set level of boundaries and values so that across the board, whomever you're meeting and you're engaging, you can evaluate them properly based on who you are and what you represent. Those attitudes, beliefs, perspectives, principles. Okay. So, you know, the link will be open.
I've done a lot of work, a lot of counseling and everything. I was married for almost 24 years, well, together. And then it's been over 6 years and before I decided to get into this relationship.
So you spent some time away. It sounds like you spent
It'll be 7 years in April.
Yeah, it sounds like you spent a decent amount of time away from that marriage. Kudos to you, because I think that's a big deal. A lot of people don't take that time off to themselves. So I think that's a big deal. So why would you take all of this time off to yourself and then jump into this piss pool? Why?
I knew he was, working on things, and
He's not working on nothing.
I knew he was a good man, taking care of his mom and everything.
Good subjective. Good is subjective. Good. Hey, people think Burger King good. My kids can't stand Burger King. It's all subjective.
True.
See, again, he's a good man. He's this. He takes care of his mama. He's a good. You're still validating dysfunction. And that's my concern with you, Miss Lisa.
I don't validate the things that he does.
You are.
And the disappearing and.
Yes, you are. Because two things can be true at once. You can acknowledge that him disappearing is wrong.
Right.
But if the next sentence says, but hey, he's a good man, he takes care of his mom, you are looking for a reason.
In that regard, he's a horrible boyfriend.
You're looking for a reason to call him something that overall he really ain't. I know. That's hard to hear. Doc, stuff don't have to be absolute. Okay. I just said two things can be true at once. I agree with that to an extent, but I'm telling you now, if he's got the sense to look after his mother and look after all of these properties he owns and hire help to do that and manage that, but he don't have the strength to stick around and work through stuff with you, he might still be a good guy. We can make this even more simple. He may not just want you, Miss Lisa. And that's something we have to be honest about. If you want to make him a good guy, great. Maybe he just doesn't want you.
I tried to break up with him many times.
Well, avoidants don't like that. It's the push and pull.
Oh, okay.
When an avoidant runs and you feel him running and you stop chasing and you decide to yank the rope back and say, I'm not chasing you no more, I'm going this direction. Guess what? The avoidant feels that, and nothing makes an avoidant chase you like you stopping chasing them. This is why avoidants almost always come running back. And you got to know this. And the only way you break that cycle of an avoidant running back to you and this back and forth is if you cut the cord. That was a word. Because when you cut the cord, it ain't no coming back. They love back and forth like the Aaliyah record.
Wow.
So cut the cord.
Never dealt with one before until now. So
cut the cord, or you're gonna be going back and forth for the rest of your life or your rest of your time with this man. Stop.
Right.
Let's stop.
I hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
This is on you. I'm more concerned about you than him, because I'm gonna tell you at the end of the day, he's dysfunctional. I just said this. We can't put logic around dysfunction.
Right.
He's
Exactly.
dysfunctional. He's gonna be what he is. I'm more concerned about you. I don't want you going back and forth with people who cannot acknowledge their challenges and do something about it. Okay?
Yes.
Ms. Lisa, it's a pleasure.
You too, Doc. I appreciate you.
I hope to work with you soon. I'm going to look forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you, my friend. Y'all, let's give it up to Ms. Lisa. That was really good. Wow. Very honest, too. Yeah, I'm trying to make sense out of this, and I just ain't making sense to me. Y'all, and I don't make excuses for nobody. And again, I said this because dudes get real quiet on this when I talk about them. But then when I jump on women, they ain't got nothing to say. Like, I don't care who you are, what your gender is, and where you're from. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And you're not going to make an avoidant love you until they change. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you spin it. I don't care what expectations you set. An avoidant is going to run until they heal that style of attachment. Good luck trying to fix an avoidant. It ain't going to work.
The first practical way you can fix your anxious and avoidant style, these are things I've shared with clients. So y'all getting a real session tonight. You better support this show. Way number one, pursue activities that validate you internally. I'm going to explain. Pursue activities that validate you internally. What I mean by that is simply this. You got to start focusing on behaviors, actions, and activities daily that provide no tangible reward. And when I say tangible reward, I'm talking about rewards you can put your hand on, you can put your body in, you can put your body on, you can see, taste, touch, smell, feel, all of that. None of that. You need to focus on activities and behaviors that don't provide a tangible reward, meaning the reward you receive is internal. Rewards like gratitude, thankfulness, awareness, internal validation. Because when you do things that return your focus back to internal reward, you remove the focus from what's going on out there to how am I feeling inside. What's the first two areas of the 5 areas of healing? Mental and emotional. Guess what, y'all? That ain't external. And some of you are trying to fix an internal problem with external solutions. Oh my God. You can't fix the internal problem of your attachment style with external solutions. You got to work on stuff inside of you, which is why you need to do you can do easy things. Volunteer work. Some of you ain't volunteered until the court ordered you to do it. Oh my God. The one and only time you ever volunteered is when the court told you if you don't volunteer, you're going to serve time. You ain't never served nobody but yourself. Let me tell you something from personal experience. If you want to feel better about your life, one of the easiest ways to feel better about your life is to make somebody else feel better about theirs. That's right. There are levels to this. Volunteer work is find somebody to serve. Watch this. Who ain't paying you and where you don't get recognized. Don't go out to no kitchen and feed people and then be over the soup line like this with your cell phone, snapping and then put it on Instagram. I'm not talking about that. That's the problem. Many of you have broken attachment styles because you're still seeking external validation. And sometimes the greatest rewards you're going to receive are going to be the rewards you get in private. Hey, I want everybody to type in the chat right now levels. Because if you ain't got no spiritual foundation, what I'm about to say ain't going to make no sense to you. Just go ahead and put levels in the chat. Hurry up. Hey, Instagram, let's get that number up to 250. Let's see if we can match Facebook and YouTube tonight. Y'all share this video. Hit that kite and share it. Do it. Y'all put levels. Let me explain something to you about this internal reward. Did you know that many of you are not healing your attachment style because you're relying on external things to do it. You're too busy waiting for people to recognize your change instead of changing. But let me put you in on game. When it comes to healing the little girl or little boy inside of you that's broken, you ain't gonna be able to do that by going on a shopping spree. You're not gonna be able to do that by hanging off of somebody's balcony. That ain't gonna fix your attachment style. But what will help fix it is when you learn how to do things in secret, you can be rewarded openly for it. It's a spiritual principle. If you don't understand it, you ain't gonna get it. And that's what makes things like volunteer service, community work, that's what makes it powerful. Because when you do things in secret, you get open reward. And many of you are so busy doing stuff openly that you ain't getting no reward at all. Oh my God. There's levels to this. You out here binge shopping, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You wearing Amazon out, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You getting bent over balconies and bending folk over balconies, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to go inside. Some of you working long hours and trying to disguise your pain behind your work, ain't gonna work. You gotta tap into gratitude. How do I know I've tapped into gratitude? Let me put you on game. You ready? I want you to record this. When you can say that what you have is enough, you're functioning in gratitude. Come on, record it. When you can say that what you have is enough, you're functioning in gratitude. I'm gonna break this down. This is a spiritual principle. Y'all not ready? When you can say that what you have is enough, you are functioning in gratitude. And it's real simple. That means that if you get broke up with and you got to heal your attachment style and you have to go a year single or 2 year singles or 5 year single, rather than going out here and choosing some loser to try to make yourself feel better, you fall so in love with your life as it is that if you never get anything else added to your life, you are satisfied with what you have. That's called gratitude. That's called gratitude. When you can say, I don't need to go shopping and add things to my life and buy stuff and do all this stuff. I've tapped into me and I've become so comfortable with the lot that I've landed in right now for my life that I'm comfortable with this as is. You're in gratitude. And when you get there, it don't matter who comes or who goes. That's why some of us secure people that have had some losses, yeah, we might have mourned the loss for like 10 seconds. Then we immediately tap into gratitude. If it was meant to be here, it would be. If it ain't, then it ain't. And I'm good with what I got. That's how you know you're tapped in for real. Y'all, I got to take my magnesium. That's how you know you're tapped in. When you know you are good with what you got, there are two things you learn to live with. You learn to live in the present, and you learn to function with contentment. Contentment is a spiritual principle that is a byproduct of validating yourself internally. When you validate yourself internally, you shift eventually to this place called contentment. That means it ain't that you're satisfied with your life. It just means you're okay with where it is. So when I say I'm content, it don't mean I'm satisfied. It doesn't mean I don't want more money. It doesn't mean I don't want relationship. It doesn't mean I don't want whatever. But it does mean that I'm okay where I am. And if I don't get no more, I'm good with this. This is how, let me help some of you single folks that are doing this work for real. I'm not talking about you single folks that's got secret rosters, that's entertaining but acting like you're doing work. Or that's bouncing from person to person every other 2 weeks or every 2 months. I'm talking about you folks that are really doing this work. Let me encourage you. When you're really doing this work for real and you really heal, you will get to a place where you might desire companionship, but you will be so full with your life that if you died tomorrow, you'd be all right. Let me tell you how Doc knew he was secure and ready. Because if she don't ever come, oh my God, let me say this loud. If she don't ever come, my life is so complete right now that if she don't ever come, I'm good. And you can't fake that kind of energy. That takes work. You can't fake that kind of energy. That takes doing the work. And some of y'all say it and then you're going to cry in the car. Oh my God. Some of y'all get on social media and say this stuff and then you're going to cry in the car. You don't mean it. When you really mean this, people be around you and they can feel that energy. Let me tell y'all something. When I was in DC, when I'm in most of these states that I'm in, doing this tour, the greatest compliment that I consistently get from city to city, Doc, oh my God, your energy in real life is the real deal. What did you think it was? The internet? And I get it, because a whole lot of people, one way on the internet, but they don't be the same offline. Let me tell you something about doing this work. When you do this work, you way better in person. Oh my God. No, for real. You way better in person when you do this work. There is a natural glow like the last dragon. There is a natural glow around you when you do this work, and people can see it. Sweetheart lady in DC was so kind to me. She hugged me, and she hugged me and whispered in my ear, said, Doc, oh my God, Doc, you're really amazing in real life. It was the sweetest thing. And in my mind, I'm like, yes, I'm doing the work. Doc don't just talk this, he does it. And they not glowing in C32C. Ain't no glow back there with them cold peanuts and Biscoff cookies. When you do this work, you land in first class. I want to give a shout out to Big Bree. That's her handle. I think she's a client. I've got some sessions coming up with her soon. She tagged me in the post today. It was talking about how she finished the book and she was crying at the end of it. Wasn't tears of sadness, but it was tears of joy. It was tears of joy when she read that book, and I responded to her post and said, welcome to first class. Because when you do this work in first class, that's where the hot towels are. Charcuterie boards, free drinks, free snacks. I had an airline steward so fancy. This dude was passing out gloss, was passing out floss. He passed out little portable mirrors. Some of y'all been on Emirates where they got 2 levels in showers. Some of us been on planes with lay down beds, curtains. Ain't no Biscoff up there. Oh my God. When you doing this work, we can see you doing the work. What book? 5 Areas of Healing, my book. Get it. Links in the bio. Y'all supporting this? There is nothing more dangerous on this earth than an anxious man and an avoidant woman. An anxious man and an avoidant woman are absolutely dangerous. If I were you and you're not married, I would run like heck from an anxious man and an avoidant woman. Doc, why are you picking on just them? On just the anxious man and the avoidant woman? I'll tell you why. Because when a man is anxious and his desire is to be masculine, his anxiousness defies masculinity. A man cannot operate in his masculine energy and be anxious at the same time. So I'm telling you right now, if you are a man or you are connected to a man that claims to be masculine, but he's anxious, he is not in his masculine energy. Because there is nothing masculine about being anxious. Anxiousness is not a masculine trait. This is going to hurt some of y'all. You ready? Anxiousness is actually more of a feminine trait. Oh, it's going to get quiet. I might not get no support tonight. It's fine. I ain't going to leave the live up. You know why? Because anxiousness is emotional. So when a man is functioning in his anxiousness or functioning as an anxious attachment style dominantly in his feminine. And you cannot expect clarity, you cannot expect direction from an anxious man. And I know y'all don't like this, but go back to your chart. I'll prove it. Because I've been talking a lot. I don't know if it's because the weather's changing. Doc, you've been posting a lot about resumes and talking about avoided this and ghosting this. And what's going on, Doc? You going through something? No, I ain't going through nothing. I'm good. I don't post my business on social media. Doc's not going through nothing. It's peace over here. And anything that don't look like peace ain't in my life no more. Oh my God. That's how secure people do it. So ain't nothing going on with Doc. But hear what I'm saying. If you go back to your chart, watch this. Let me show you something. Let me show y'all 2 things we discussed on previous charts. Number 1, this chart right here that talked about fear. And we talked about how the anxious person, let me find the pen. There it is. There's my stylus. We talked about how the anxious person chases. Let me tell y'all something. I know without a shadow of a doubt that many of you women don't have the guts to admit this out loud. But fellas, let me put you on game. And ladies, if I'm telling the truth, I want you to just type a 1 in the chat. Give me a second. Fellas, let me put you on game. I don't care what that woman says to you. I don't care if she says, I want you to court me. I want you to do this for me. I want you to show me you're interested. I want you to da, 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 da. Let me tell you what turns a woman completely off from a man when he chases. Let me just go ahead and give y'all the playbook. You know what turns a woman off about a chasing man? If a man is chasing you, that means he ain't got enough business. That man should be so busy that he ain't got time to run behind you all day. If you don't believe me, ask a woman who's ever been pursued by a man where she sends him a message and he responds back within seconds. And he does it every single time. That woman, subconsciously, sometimes consciously, looks at her phone and says, you ain't got nothing to do. Look at all of these ones. Because an anxious man that chases is really a feminine woman. Oh my God. And she will never say this out loud, but deep down inside, she feels a way on one end if she messages a man and he's so busy, he's got a lot going on and it takes him a long time to get back. On one end, she feels a kind of way, but let me tell you something. On the other end, her attraction for him is a little bit stronger because she knows he has business about himself. I know. Thank you. Somebody said, you ain't lying. I know. And guess what? If she really likes him, she'll wait. Oh my God. I know. Hey, do me a favor. We got some newbies here. Type in the chat in all capital letters, levels. There's levels. Now understand this. Some of you are going to want a man that can get back to you every single time you reach out within a minute or two. And I call those like seat, they ain't 32C. They probably about seat like 25. 25, let's call it seat 25A. There's a seat 25A man that every time you text him, he can hit you right back within a minute or two. And hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Somebody got to sit in the back and eat them cold peanuts and the Biscoff cookies. Oh my God. We'll call him a seat 25A man. But then there is a man that sits in seats 1 through 5, who is not playing around games. He's not looking at his phone, see you messaging and say, oh, I'm going to play this game and wait hours and respond. I'm not talking about none of that toxic red pill foolishness. Oh, my God. There is a man that is legit busy, that legit has real business going on. And when he responds to you, he lets you know he's got things going on, and you even know it anyway, because that's part of the reason why you're attracted to him in the first place. And the fact that he don't have the time to go back and forth with you all day, while it might annoy you on some levels, it reminds you, this man really got business about himself. I know, Naomi. They not talking to me. They not supporting. Some of you women still mad. Doc, I don't like that. He got to be responsible. Nothing wrong with that. C25A. You get on the plane, make a right, and go back 24 rows. Oh, my God. I don't have no problem with that. Somebody got to marry them dudes. Let's go further about the anxious man. Look at these behaviors of anxiousness from this sheet right here. Now, y'all tell me how masculine a man can be when he's anxious and erratic. This is why when men come to me and they're in this space and they come to want to get some help, one of the first things that I challenge them to do is master the art of self-control. Men have to understand that the essence of your masculinity is discipline and self-control. And if you have no discipline, you have no self-control, it's going to be hard for you to be a masculine man. Show me an erratic man, I'll show you a crazy one. Oh my God. And you know what? Some of you young heads, some of you young, ditzy, and some of y'all old, ditzy women love erratic men. I've had clients look me in the face and say, Doc, I like a little bit of razzle dazzle in my man. Go for it. Ain't nothing steady about razzle dazzle. Oh, yes, y'all do. Doc, I like a little razzle dazzle in mine. Ain't nothing masculine about that. That's called erratic. Imagine a man who's anxious, claims to be masculine, but gives you emotional whiplash. Imagine that. He gives you emotional whiplash. Why? Because you don't know how he's going to show up from one day to the next. And I established this over the last couple of weeks, that whether you realize this or not, ladies, you're going to know you're healing as a woman, whether you're a feminine woman or a masculine woman, because you can be both. But you're going to know you're healing as a woman when you desire consistency in your relationships. Not having to guess. You don't want to be on an emotional roller coaster. I know toxic twinkle, twinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle culture tells you, oh, Start an argument. Get some excitement in your marriage. Get some excitement in your relationship. Secure people leave you for that. I ain't got time for that. Oh my God. If you want some excitement, go get some ice cream. If you want some excitement, go to Dave and Buster's. Oh my God. There is great excitement in peace. I know. Some of you aren't there yet, but you're going to know you're healing when you desire peace and consistency more than razzle dazzle and excitement. Hey, do me a favor, y'all, because we losing some of the sprinkle, twinkle, twinkle people. Type in the chat levels. Hurry. Come on. Do it. You can do it. Put your back into it. Hurry up. There's levels to this. So imagine a man that claims to be masculine, but he gives you emotional whiplash. Or, this is a big one. Imagine a man who's anxious, but also deceptive. He masculine, quote unquote, but he's deceptive or manipulative. So I'm telling y'all that an anxious man is a bad idea, and I'm equal opportunity. An avoidant woman is a horrible idea too. Uh-oh. Oh my God. Uh-oh. You know what makes an avoidant woman very dangerous? Because an avoidant woman is in essence a man in a woman's shape. This idea of taking a step back, moving back, instead of addressing, dealing with things, shielding your emotions for fear of being hurt is poor masculine behavior. An avoidant woman is dangerous because she ditches her comfort with her emotions and prefers to run away so she can detach emotionally. And when a woman has ditched the power of her emotions, has become a man. Oh my God. This is why some of this stuff didn't work with some of y'all and some of these women. Because you showed up masculine, she was avoidant. So when y'all had arguments, y'all couldn't really communicate. You was trying to lead, you were trying to be logical, you were trying to be thoughtful, you were trying to be a thinker. But when she had too much, or when she felt overwhelmed, she became what you were. And instead of y'all's communication syncing, you started butting heads. And when she couldn't take that because she realized she was not the man that you are, she became a runner and a track star. Oh my God. And let me tell you something. You avoided women that have ditched the power of your emotions. You know what makes a feminine woman so beautiful? It ain't the looks. I got a post coming out about this on Sunday. It's going to hurt some of y'all feeling because some of y'all think you soft. You in the soft life. Soft life has nothing to do with how nice your lips look, how great your hips look, your shape, your hair, your lip gloss, your skin, nothing. Soft life ain't got nothing to do with none of that. Soft life has everything to do with your demeanor and your posture. And I'm telling you, it is impossible to live a soft life when you're avoided like a man. Oh my God. Oh, I know you heard it. And listen, because somebody says, hey, what if you're gay? What if you're same sex? We've talked about masculine feminine energy before. Masculine feminine energy is greater than gender, which is why if you have two women together, I've explained this, but some of you may be new, so I can be patient here. I've talked about this before. If you have two women together, you got to have a masculine and a feminine energy. Show me two women that are together and both of them are feminine. And it lasts. I'm not talking about fun. Show me two men that are together and both of them are masculine. It doesn't work. It's called polarity. Some of y'all need to go back and watch those videos. Masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with their gender, and it has everything to do with the energy that you're in. Doesn't. Which is why whether you agree with the lifestyle or not is a totally different conversation. If a man and a man are together in a relationship, if one of those men is masculine and the other one is feminine, it creates polarity. One's giving, masculine, one's receiving, feminine. That creates polarity, greater than your opinion on the relationship. So the same thing applies when it comes to being avoidant. Show me a woman, a heterosexual woman, who desires to be feminine, but she's avoidant. She's not soft. She is hard as the bottom of a man's foot who ain't never had a pedicure. Oh my God. And what's so crazy, y'all, is these be the women. I know y'all women don't like this. That's why I don't see a lot of churches. Y'all ain't support. Let me look and see if y'all supporting the show. It's 10 o'clock already. Y'all not supporting the show. I'm gonna get into some stuff y'all can support in a second, because I know some of y'all salty. But this is why I laugh, because it be the very women that screaming soft life, soft life, soft. I'm soft, 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 soft. Lip gloss, extra glossy. But when things get hard, you don't have the emotional control to having a conversation without running or fleeing and leaving the scene. And when you act that way as a so-called feminine woman, you begin to tap into your masculinity hard. And let me help you. If you're an avoidant woman and you date a secure man, you can scream soft all day, but when you run, that secure man will feel like he's with a man and he's gonna leave. I need to start doing more lives on masculine and feminine energy, because this is going to solve a lot of your problems. Some of you women that are feminine, that desire, or masculine that desire to be feminine, just need to turn your manometer down. And some of you men that desire to be masculine need to turn your feminine meter down if you want a feminine woman. And it ain't how big you look. It's not how strong your muscles are. Ain't got nothing to do with that. Masculinity is an energy. When you're around a masculine man or a feminine woman, you can feel it. You can feel it. And ladies, it's greater than your lip gloss. And fellas, it's greater than how big your muscles are. She might be watching tonight. I hugged a lady in DC at the tour and hugged her. And she said, she hugged me. She pulled my arms back and looked at me and looked me up and down and said, "Doc, I didn't know." I said, "What didn't you know, ma'am?" She said, "I didn't know you was like that." What did you think? Oh my God. Don't let this hat fool you. What did you think? You know why? Because masculinity is not a look, it's an energy. Femininity is not a look, an energy. So this is what makes an anxious man dangerous, what makes an avoidant woman dangerous. Because at their core, if they desire their natural energy, they're going to be out of sync. A man who desires to be masculine is going to be out of sync when he shows up anxious, and is going to turn that woman off and give her the ick. And a woman who desires to be feminine is going to come off masculine if all she does is run. Women, I don't understand. That's why this whole make it last forever stuff. No. Let me tell you what turns a woman on. What turns a real woman on is when a real man has the strength to walk away. I know. Y'all will never admit it. But some of you women that are growing and healing, if you are honest, can admit you probably lost a man or two that was secure because you didn't show up right, but you knew you lost the wrong one when he was willing to walk. Oh my God. Because a secure man that will walk away from you, you might be feeling some kind of way, but your attraction for him at that moment, and some of y'all are in the middle of this right now because you done walked away from secure men and you think everything is okay. It's not going to be until you heal that you realize that the power of a secure man is in his ability to walk away. So when you tell a secure man you don't want to do it no more, or you act up on a secure man, he creates a boundary, you break it, he decides to disappear and get lost and end it, you might feel some kind of way. But when you come to your senses and heal, if he was a legit, healed, secure man, big if he was a legit, healed, secure man, when you come to your senses, you're going to look and be like, I fumbled. Are y'all listening to me?
Listen, y'all, I hope this made sense.
There was a lady that I told you all about a couple of weeks ago. She is a client. She allowed me to share with you all the fact that she is 62 years old and she was avoidant. She was avoidant, 62 years old. And she came to me and said to me, "Doc, I want to heal my avoidant attachment style." So at the ripe age of 62, we healed her anxious attachment style or avoidant attachment style, worked on some things that we're going to talk about tonight. And she happened to go to Ghana and be flown out for a wedding where a gentleman noticed her amongst a group of about 150 women, noticed her, got to know her, and asked to fly her out to Ghana. You guys remember that story? Anybody? Y'all, anybody remember that story? Has anybody been following me that long? This was a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago. Anybody remember that? Yes, yes, yes. There we go. All right. Make sure y'all don't think I'm making this up. All right, a couple of months ago. Well, I met with my friend this week, and I had not talked to her since she had been to Ghana and went to Ghana for like 2 weeks. She got flued out at 62. I said, "Hey, Miss Client, how did Ghana go?" You know what she said? She said, "Doc, I know we have a session, coming up in about a month or so, but we need to push it back to like August, September." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because Monday, Memorial Day, I'm going back to Ghana for 60 days. Not for 6 days, not for 2 weeks, for 60 days. She didn't get flued out just once. She got flued out twice, and this time for 60 days. Now, some of you may be asked, how did she do it? Doc, I want to get flued out. How did she do it? She worked on some things we're going to talk about tonight. And let me tell you one thing she didn't do. One thing she didn't do was lie about her attachment style and not be honest about it. She never called herself a lover girl until she healed her attachment style. And we have to stop calling ourselves lover boys and lover girls, and you ain't healed. You not no lover nothing. Oh my God. In your mind you are, but you ain't no lover nothing if you ain't healed your attachment style. So let's start there. Now she's like, oh my, and she's almost like a completely different lady from when I first, she spent most of the time crying. She cries on the set, and it ain't tears of sadness. She cries, oh my God, Doc, you saved my life. I'm 62. You said I'm living a life at 62. I never thought I would live. And she's just crying. It's almost like she's in church somewhere, just crying and booing, testifying. You know what made her a lover boy or a lover girl? Being honest about her attachment style. You know why some of y'all ain't healed? Because you're walking around telling people you secure when you really anxious or avoidant. Oh my God. You know what this starts with? Honesty. I want you to put this in the chat in all capital letters. Honesty. And it's wild to me how people are living in this delusional world where they believe they are healed, but they're not even being honest about their attachment. So I'm going to help you fix some things tonight. And here's the simple thing. I want you to record this, your first note. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler for the rest of the weekend. You ready? The anxious and the avoidant can fix their broken style the same way. Look inside. You should put those 2 words in the chat. Look inside. You know where 90% of your problems are when it comes to your attachment style? Inside of you. This is going to be so powerful and simple and profound at the same time. You got to look inside. And most of you are trying to fix your attachment style by fixing things external to you. It doesn't work that way. Everything starts and stops inside. Let's go back and review some things. Attachment styles are birthed within us, typically around the ages of 2 to 3 to 8 to 9. That's when our brains are the softest. That's when our brains absorb the most information as humans. So the things that go on in your life from about the age of 2 to 3 to 8 to 9 are responsible for your attachment style, specifically your relationship with your caregivers, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. If you are a foster kid, doesn't matter. Whomever raised you are responsible for grooming your attachment style. Well, why is that important? Because if your attachment style is not properly groomed, then that's when we get what we call childhood wounds. So when you hear people say things like, I'm healing the little boy in me or the little girl in me, people throw those terms out there without explaining it. When you are healing the inner child, you're healing the part of you that was a kid that did not receive what he or she needed to be healthy. That's it. It is that simple. So when you are 20, 25, 30, 35, and you say, I have inner child wounds or childhood wounds, it is speaking to the little girl or the little boy in you that was wounded as a child, that has some wounds that need to be sewed up. Most of the times, particularly if they relate to how we relate with others, most of the time, those wounds are related to your attachment style. Does this make sense? Are y'all with me? So we're going to deal with some stuff tonight that's going to challenge you to go inside. So for all of you that are sitting on this live that are saying, nope, it's my mama's fault. Nope, it's my daddy's fault. Nope, it's the person that abused me in the relationship's fault. Blah, blah, blah. You are only partially correct. They may have had a handful in it, but if you're an adult, you are responsible for it. I want you to record this now. Your past had a hand in it. You are responsible for it. That is the nuts and bolts of tonight. Record it. Hurry. Your past, that was salad worthy. Your past had a hand in it. You are responsible for it. That's for all of you people that love to point fingers. They had a hand in it. It's your responsibility. And you know what I'm discovering? This generation hates to take responsibility. Are masters at pointing fingers at folks for problems we got to figure out. And let me give you a good measurement compass. This is going to help you. When you are healing, one of the things you become a master at doing, taking responsibility, which is why you will never show me a person that's healed, but they ain't accountable. Oh my God. You will never show me a person that's healed who ain't accountable. Which is why if you find me a woman that's not accountable, I'm going to find you a woman that ain't healed. Oh my God. If you find me a man that ain't responsible, I'm going to find you a man that ain't healed. I don't care. Oh my God. It can be your daddy. It can be your mama. I don't care who they are. Show me a woman that ain't accountable. I'll show you a broken one. Show me a man that ain't responsible. I'll show you a broken one. So we're going to have to own some stuff. And I'm going to give you some ways tonight. Some of this stuff is going to be so high level that I almost feel like I should have saved this for subscribers. Because some of these things, you're going to need a spiritual lens. Hey, what are the 5 areas of healing? Put it in the corner of your journal. Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. Hurry. Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. Put it in your journal. Just put it at the top. You're going to need to refer to it tonight. Because tonight, we're going to tap into mental, emotional, and spiritual hard. And if you don't have a spiritual lens, some of this stuff is going to go over your head. Now, I know this is different because most of your counselors, therapists, coaches, they don't infuse spirituality into their work. I do. Because for what your brain can't comprehend and your feelings don't understand, it takes a foundation for it to make sense. Specifically, a spiritual foundation. So a lot of the principles we're going to talk about to help you heal these attachment style wounds are going to attack you mentally and emotionally, but they're also going to challenge you spiritually. This is why a lot of my clients heal pretty fast. Okay? Y'all with me? I want to talk a little bit about enmeshment really quickly. Enmeshment. Enmeshment is a term, and I'm going to give you Dr. Zeb's definition. You guys know I have my own definitions. That's why I talk in analogies. It makes the complicated make sense. Enmeshment, an easy way to understand enmeshment is that when two people become so entangled that they lose one another in their entanglement. When two people, record this, you're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler all week. When two people become so entangled with one another that they lose themselves in their entanglement with one another. One of the things that keeps the anxious avoidant dynamic stuck is that if you take an anxious and an avoidant person and put them together, and they've been pushing and pulling and tugging back and forth, and neither one of them has the self-awareness to be able to recognize their flaws and their part in this entanglement that they have with one another, they will mistake that entanglement as a bond. They will mistake their entanglement as a bond. So you hear people that are enmeshed together say things like, I can't live without them. I can't make it without them. I don't see a life without them. When in actuality, what has occurred is that they have become so entangled with one another that they've lost sight of their own individuality and the flaws and challenges that come with that because they're so lost within each other. This is what keeps anxious and avoidant people. This is one of many things that keeps anxious and avoidant people on the hamster wheel. A lot of this stuff y'all calling a bond is enmeshment. Oh my God. A lot of this stuff y'all calling soul ties, enmeshment. Oh my God. A lot of this stuff y'all calling this is my life forever love, enmeshment. A lot of this y'all calling, man, that's my person, enmeshment.
Oh my God.
Because ain't no way if you anxious, you can call a person running away from you your person. But you know what? When you so entangled in them, you can't even recognize that they running because you so busy chasing and you ain't even paying attention to what you're doing.
Oh my God.
There ain't no way you avoidant, but you running away from a person that's coming towards you because you can't process the things you got going on, but yet you can say, I'm running away, but you still my person. Dysfunction at its finest.
Oh my God.
Dysfunction at its finest. And I hate to break this to you all, but many of you are absolutely enmeshed with people with broken attachment style. You are enmeshed with people who have broken attachment styles. They're not honest about their styles, and neither are you. And that's why I started this off with honesty. Because the reality is, if you don't go into this work being honest, you literally will end up in an enmeshed relationship and have all of these problems, but can't understand why you got them. When all you got to do is be honest. I'm chasing somebody that's running, or I'm running from somebody who's chasing. And that's the start to taking that tangle web that you're in and breaking it apart. It's enmeshment. Now, enmeshment isn't necessarily a trauma bond. I want to explain the difference. Enmeshment is not necessarily a trauma bond because a trauma bond is what the word says. That when two people have been bonded, grounded in trauma. Traumatic experiences have brought two people together to form a bond. You can be enmeshed without trauma. Enmeshment, this is so good, speaks more to dysfunction than it does trauma. It can include trauma, but it speaks more to dysfunction than it does trauma. Because when you're enmeshed and you have lost yourself, you become mentally, emotionally, and spiritually blind. And when you are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually blind, you wouldn't know you are traumatized because you are so delusional. When you are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually blind in a relationship, enmeshed, you are so blind that you are not aware of your dysfunction. If you're not aware of your dysfunction, you can't be aware that you're traumatized either. So trauma bonds in and of itself have to realize or come with some recognition of a realization of trauma. Does this make sense? Now, you may not be aware that you're in a trauma bond, but you can meet somebody and know that your trauma and their trauma has brought you together. I'll give you an easy example. This for all of you people that get out of relationships today and you in another relationship 2 weeks from now. And the relationship you left today, you end up in a relationship 2 weeks from now, and you claim that the relationship you was in was so hard, but then you met somebody who just got out of a relationship themselves. Oh my God, we have something in common.
Oh my God.
Is what you say. You say, we have something in common. So you come together. Yeah, man, I just broke up too. Yeah, girl, I just got out of a relationship too. And you get together. But the problem is the relationship ended 2 weeks ago for both of y'all. And both of y'all were in 2, 3, 4 year relationship situationships, and you took no time to heal. And so your trauma brought you together. And y'all, we see a lot of that going on. I'm going to just say this. I know y'all don't like my rule. I want you to write it in your journal right now because many of you have never heard it. For every year you've been with somebody, you need 2 to 4 months to recover from them. Every 2 years or every year you've been with someone, you need 2 to 4 years to recover. Doc, I was married for 30 years. Does that mean I need 60 months? Yeah. That's what that means. And you can include time served.
Oh my God.
Doc, you talking like we in prison. Some of y'all was in prison. If you were in a marriage for 30 years, but the last 10 years, y'all were in separate bedrooms, you weren't talking, you weren't speaking, you weren't You won't living in the same house. You won't even communicating. That 10 years counts as time served, especially if you were doing the work. But I don't understand for the life of me how some of y'all get out of relationships in January. Some of y'all was just telling folk you loved them in January and February, and now you posting new Negroes in May. Oh my God. How you tell somebody you was in a relationship with 3-4 years, in March you love them, but in May you got a new man or a new woman? I'll tell you how. Oh my God. Because you're broken and you're dysfunctional. I'm telling you, this we are living in dysfunctional times. And it's mostly because most of you do not want to take the time necessary to just heal and be the best version of you. Think you're going to miss something. You ain't going to miss nothing. When you take that time to heal, everything you thought you missed will come back to you multiplied. I will give y'all a Bible verse, but y'all probably ain't even ready for it. Everything you missed will come back multiplied. This is why when you're on a true healing journey, you don't worry about what you lost. There's such a thing as everything you lost being restored to you. Joel said it. I will restore the years that the locust, the cankerworm, the caterpillar, the palmer worm have devoured. What those worms refer to are the things that come to destroy you. And this is why many of you are struggling. Many of you are struggling because you are bouncing from relationship to relationship to relationship. That's simple. And you have not, and here's the crazy part. You're transferring your dysfunction from one person to another. You can selfie, you can ussy, you can do whatever you want to do. You might want to heal first. I'm just trying to help y'all. And this is where we are. So don't confuse enmeshment with a trauma bond. It ain't the same. Hey, Erica Johnson, good to see you from Houston. Good to see you. You were so nice to me, gave me a marker set, gave me several things. I really appreciate you, my friend. It's not the same as a trauma bond. Some of y'all are just enmeshed, which means you have lost yourself in the other person. And it's sad. I look at people that I know, even clients. I can look at clients that come on my screen sometimes, and I can tell they ain't been doing the work, and I can tell that they are enmeshed in something that's got a hold of them, and they're losing their identity. And I feel sorry for y'all that have not taken the time to heal, but instead of taking the time to heal, you come out of one bad situation, latch on to another person, and you think you're happy, and you smile on social media. But anybody with a spiritual, mental, and emotional foundation about themselves can look at your smile and with discernment tell it's all for the gram. Some of y'all not happy in real life. Oh my God. Yeah, you got a man and you're not happy in real life. Yeah, you're married. You're not happy in real life. We can look at your fake smile and tell, because it ain't no way. If you have not properly healed from past relationships, you're going to be happy in new ones. And if you don't believe me, try it. Just try it. Hey, y'all liking and sharing the video? We're almost up to, we're almost at 650 viewers. Let's get this up to 1,000. Y'all doing all right. Like and share the video. Y'all supporting the show? Huh? So let's get into some practical ways to fix it. Let me see if y'all supporting, because this is going to be good. I know I'm not going to get through all of them tonight. Of course, it's going to be a part 4. What did y'all expect? Let's get into some practical ways. Are y'all supporting the show? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Miss Lisa, Lamisha. I appreciate you. Y'all support the show because it's about to get good. You ready? Let's talk about how we can fix some of this stuff. The first practical way you can fix your anxious and avoidant style is pursue. These are things I've shared with clients. So y'all getting a real session tonight. You better support this show. Way number 1, pursue activities that validate you internally. I'm going to explain. Pursue activities that validate you internally. What I mean by that is simply this. You got to start focusing on behaviors, actions, and activities daily that provide no tangible reward. And when I say tangible reward, I'm talking about rewards you can put your hand on, you can put your body in, you can put your body on, you can see, taste, touch, smell, feel, all of that. None of that. You need to focus on activities and behaviors that don't provide a tangible reward. Meaning the rewards you receive is internal. Rewards like gratitude, thankfulness, awareness, internal validation. Because when you do things that return your focus back to internal reward, you remove the focus from what's going on out there to how am I feeling inside. What's the first 2 areas of the 5 areas of healing? Mental and emotional. Guess what, y'all? That ain't external. And some of you are trying to fix an internal problem with external solutions. Oh my God. You can't fix the internal problem of your attachment style with external solutions. You got to work on stuff inside of you, which is why you need to do you can do easy things. Volunteer work. Some of you ain't volunteered until the court ordered you to do it. Oh my God. The one and only time you ever volunteered is when the court told you if you don't volunteer, you're going to serve time. You ain't never served nobody but yourself. Let me tell you something from personal experience. If you want to feel better about your life, one of the easiest ways to feel better about your life is to make somebody else feel better about theirs. That's right. There are levels to this. Volunteer work is find somebody to serve. Watch this. Who ain't paying you and where you don't get recognized. Don't go out to no kitchen and feed people and then be over the soup line like this with your cell phone, snapping and then put it on Instagram. I'm not talking about that. That's the problem. Many of you have broken attachment styles because you're still seeking external validation. And sometimes the greatest rewards you're going to receive are going to be the rewards you get in private. Hey, I want everybody to type in the chat right now levels. Because if you ain't got no spiritual foundation, what I'm about to say ain't going to make no sense to you. Just go ahead and put levels in the chat. Hurry up. Hey, Instagram, let's get that number up to 250. Let's see if we can match Facebook and YouTube tonight. Y'all share this video. Hit that kite and share it. Do it. Y'all put levels. Let me explain something to you about this internal reward. Did you know that many of you are not healing your attachment style because you're relying on external things to do it? You're too busy waiting for people to recognize your change instead of changing. But let me put you in on game. When it comes to healing the little girl or little boy inside of you that's broken, you ain't going to be able to do that by going on a shopping spree. You're not going to be able to do that by hanging off of somebody's balcony. That ain't going to fix your attachment style. But what will help fix it is when you learn how to do things in secret so you can be rewarded openly for it. It's a spiritual principle. If you don't understand it, you ain't going to get it. And that's what makes things like volunteer service, community work, that's what makes it powerful. Because when you do things in secret, you get open rewards. And many of you are so busy doing stuff openly that you ain't getting no reward at all. Oh my God. You out here binge shopping, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You wearing Amazon out, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You getting bent over balconies and bending folk over balconies, trying to heal your attachment style, ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to go inside. Some of you working long hours and trying to disguise your pain behind your work, ain't gonna work. You gotta tap into gratitude. How do I know I've tapped into gratitude? Let me put you on game. You ready? I want you to record this. When you can say that what you have is enough, you're functioning in gratitude. Come on, record it. When you can say that what you have is enough, you're functioning in gratitude. I'm gonna break this down. This is a spiritual principle. Y'all not ready? When you can say that what you have is enough, you are functioning in gratitude. And it's real simple. That means that if you get broke up with and you got to heal your attachment style and you have to go a year single or 2 year single or 5 year single, rather than going out here and choosing some loser to try to make yourself feel better, you fall so in love with your life as it is that if you never get anything else added to your life, you are satisfied with what you have. That's called gratitude. That's called gratitude. When you can say, I don't need to go shopping and add things to my life and buy stuff and do all this stuff. I've tapped into me and I've become so comfortable with the lot that I've landed in right now for my life that I'm comfortable with this as is. You're in gratitude. And when you get there, it don't matter who comes or who goes. And that's why some of us secure people that have had some losses, yeah, we might have mourned the loss for like 10 seconds. But then we immediately tap into gratitude. If it was meant to be here, it would be. If it ain't, then it ain't. And I'm good with what I got. And that's how you know you're tapped in for real.
Listen, y'all, I hope this made sense. If it did, I want you to type church in the comments with 3 R's. And then I want you to remember you've got 2 jobs. 1, be better today than what you were yesterday. And 2, don't forget what I told you.